title, Democrats are a freak show. They are. They full of shit. They freaks. They liars. Corruption. Don't care about nobody but themselves. But I'm going to play this a couple of videos like I always do. And again, good morning. I got my man Vince. He be coming with the stuff, man. He be coming with the goods.
Today, on the Best Ever Ellison Show. Yeah, the Democrats seem to have a problem. They always got a bunch of weirdos running in their races. You know, they got a bunch of weirdos in there now. But now they got some serious weirdos, okay? Kind of extreme weirdos. Tarico, this Prater guy up in Maine, and then this terrorist by the name of Adam Hammerway. We're going to talk about how these guys are letting America know who the Democratic Party is, and they are panicking. Because now I think the mask is really coming off, and they know that if these guys continue to run in the race in November, then we're going to have a field day. Because these people really identify the Democratic Party for who they really are. A part of perverts, liars, psychopaths, and anti-Christian bigots. And we're going to talk about that today on the Best Ever Ellison Show. I told you. Democratic Party is part of perverts, liars, psychopaths, anti-Christian bigots, thugs, hoes, and rappers. How do I know? The people that run in the party. They got a bunch of, well, hell, they always have a bunch of crazy jokers running. But this time, they used to be smart. They used to try to lie about it. Even when they were stone cold racists in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, they'd lie about it. They wouldn't say, we're racist. There's a rebel states' rights. You know, they wouldn't say, we're racist and we hate black people. They was
good morning, say, Bruce. What's up, Bruce? Good morning.
And we take care of our colored people. And we just want to make sure that our way of life remains where it is. That's what you say back then. Now, but then it finally came out that they were racist, and the South changed. The Republican Party took it over. The South now is doing much, much better.
The Democrats are a freak show. You know, they got James tomorrow, God is binary. You got the dude with the Nazi tattoo, like he calling us MAGAs, fascists, and Nazis. Yet this man literally has a tattoo on his chest. It makes no sense. And, you know, Kamala Anthony situation. This is random stuff. Random stuff. But it all connects, as always. Okay, I'm good on this. All right. Yep. Let's get it in. Let's get into it.
But the Democratic Party is still a bunch of weirdos. Now, the South is doing so much better now that you have a reverse migration. 2 million black people have moved back south in the past 10 years. Yeah, if the Republican Party was so freaking racist, why are black people leaving blue states, coming south to the red states? Huh? Tell me that. Black Caucus. That's another show. Today I'm going to talk about 3 weirdos that have made the news. And they got weirdos all over the place. These 3 weirdos made the news. Number 1 is this guy up there in Maine. Last name is Prater. The guy is running for Senate. He got the nomination.
I know it's a stereotype. I know you're not racist. I'm not racist.
His name is Prater, excuse me. He got the nomination, and now he's running against a centrist Republican. She's not one of my favorite Republicans. Her name is Susan Collins. But Susan Collins makes this. Susan Collins looks like an angel compared to this guy. This guy has a Nazi tattoo on his chest. Guy says that talked about this old war veteran that should have got killed in the war, should have died. The guy is a misogynist. He's been sexting women and all kind of stuff. He's a weirdo. You can see some of his story here.
In a critical contest for control of the Senate, the greatest obstacle to Graham Plattner's political future may be his own past.
As every single piece of that past and journey gets dug up, litigated, and weaponized, you have my back.
Plattner pushed back again over the weekend against allegations from a former girlfriend, Lindsay Fifield, who told the New York Times that Plattner regularly grabbed her by the shoulders, sometimes hard enough to leave marks, and on one occasion yanked her out of a cab by her wrist. Plattner denies any physical violence, and his campaign called Fifield a, quote, lifelong GOP operative. Whether Maine will back the political newcomer over five-term Republican Senator Susan Collins remains to be seen.
The allegations in the latest story are troubling.
Plattner previously apologized for a series of sexist online posts.
I've gone and gotten it covered up.
He denied he knew a tattoo he got as a Marine is widely recognized as a Nazi symbol. But Plattner's supporters...
Democratic Party, hypocrisy right there. And the man why he didn't know what kind of tattoo it was. You had that tattoo in your chest over 20 years, and I'm pretty sure people have said, hey, man, you know, when your chest kind of racy, kind of shaky, I'm pretty sure they told him that. And I'm pretty sure the tattoo artist who did it told him that. Stop the lies, man. Making all these excuses. Soon as us MAGAs make a mistake, we get crucified. Throw us on the jail, under the bus, get rid of us, burn us to the stake, to the cross. But these guys do some stupid shit. Oh, don't look at that. That was in the past. That was in the past. But then everything we done was in the past. But y'all, come on, y'all. Y'all show up ready to attack us MAGAs, call us fascists. And this man literally wearing it. And then you got this doggone Kamala Anthony BS out there. Oh, he defended himself. Kind of find out the man provoked this stuff. They told the man 15 times to leave. He refused to leave. So his ass needs to be in jail. Period. I already know both sides of the party ain't the best, but at least I know the Republican Party know what a woman is, and know what a man is, and know what common sense is. Nobody's perfect. People are crooked, but at least one party knows what to do. Let's continue.
We met Sunday night say they're sticking with him.
He's not perfect. I don't think.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Candidate.
And Errol, well, many voters that we talked to last night still had some questions for Plattner. They are largely sticking by him, as you say, and notably, not one of them asked him any questions about these latest controversies at this town hall last night. Instead, they focused on pocketbook issues like inflation and the bigger picture of taking back control of the U.S. Senate.
Right. The Republican past is about ending slavery, getting your shit together, basically. Democratic Party wants you to stay poor and rely on them. Period. So the party never switched. The idea switched. The people switched. The party's still the same. Democratic Party is the party of KKK and corruption, period.
Errol.
That is very telling. Caitlin, thanks so much.
Now, with all this going on, they ask Democrats if they're still going to support him. And they say yes, because that's who they are. That's who they are. Then you got this guy, Tarico, down in Texas. Another crazy Democrat, Jasmine Crockett. But I'm going to tell y'all something. Jasmine Crockett is ignorant.
Thank you, Florida. Thank you, Florida. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
It's scary ignorant. Listen to some of the crap this damn fool said right here.
I know you have the same question I do. Is James Tallarico gay? I don't know. If he's not, he sure missed a pretty blatant opportunity because he's definitely giving the vibes.
Gay!
But he keeps his whole private life hush-hush. What I do know, what I can tell you is vibes are off, okay? Also, what I do know is that he just has a history of, well, you know, loving LGBT kids just a little too much.
Something that you love. That's not
no problem, Florida. I'm here. I'm here, Florida. Appreciate it.
I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children who showed up yesterday at the state capitol to advocate for their humanity. They shouldn't have to, but it was an inspiration to watch.
Hard drive check on aisle 4.
Hard drive check.
Weirdo. This is a total weirdo. You cannot convince me otherwise. Normal people do not behave like
Lone
this.
Star State. Take a listen to Talarico in January of this year.
So what I've said is that our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front and a lock on the door. We can welcome immigrants who want to live the American dream. We can build a pathway to citizenship for those neighbors who have been here, making us richer and stronger. And we can keep out people who mean to do us harm.
He's in trouble. And his interpretation of scripture? I mean, it might not connect with your average Texas voter. Check out this one from 2021.
The first 2 lines of the Bible, the first 2 lines in Genesis, use 2 different Hebrew words to describe God. One is the masculine Hebrew noun for divinity. The second is the feminine Hebrew noun for spirit. God is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary.
Oh, my Lord.
And they still endorse him. God said God is non-binary. We got all these pronouns. He loves trans children. He look like he's an inbred. He look like every kid on the playground used to whoop him and take his money.
Beat the shit out of him.
That is what the Democratic Party call a man. You either got an extreme of a Nazi and a racist and a misogynist, or you got this. A guy that says he doesn't eat beef and loves trans kids. There's no middle ground with these people. And then you got this guy, Adam Hammerway. Yeah, he's Muslim, and he used to hang out with the blind sheik, the guy that was the sheik to the guys that blew up the World Trade Center. Yeah, him. He's a terrorist. You can hear about him here.
There was a new low in America last night. New Jersey, they got a candidate for Congress, Adam Hamwa, or whatever his name is, won his Democrat primary, and this is in America, by the way.
When we organize,
Allah Akbar. Right. Which means basically he will also be in Congress after the midterms because it's a pretty safe blue district. And I love how the media was so friendly to him and how they framed this one. Hamwa won despite media reports that he sought to tarnish to progressive candidate as his Islamic extremist. What were those reports? Oh, right. He was a material witness on behalf of a 1993 World Trade Center bomber, the Blind Sheik, if you remember this guy. He was convicted of inciting the 1993 World Trade Center bombing on behalf of Al-Qaeda. New Jersey's new Democrat candidate went to bat for that guy on the stand. Oh, but it gets worse. Hamwa, or whatever his name is, was also affiliated with a guy named Abdel Rahman. Who's that? Oh, no big deal. Just the guy who was convicted of conspiring to assassinate the Egyptian President Mubarak. Oh, there's more. There's more. He also volunteered for an Al-Qaeda front group, Benevolence International Foundation.
I think James Tarico said the same thing in Florida, that that God needed permission from Mary to do what he, to have Jesus and all that. These people just make up all type of shit.
That was super cool.
So yeah, this is your Democratic Party. Okay, I already said they support Hamas. They already said they hate Israel. Most of the Jewish Americans are saying they might just leave the Democratic Party because they're so anti-Semitic. It's par for the course of these people. These are the three stooges of the Democratic Party, Mo, Larry, and Curly. and look, and these are the ones that we know about right now, okay? These are the ones we know about. More are on their way. The crap is going to hit the fan on this one, y'all. And I ain't through with these jokers by damn sight. Y'all going to hear a lot about them. These are not good people. They are crazy on an ultra level. And you people out there who consider yourselves Americans, consider yourselves Christians, consider yourselves sane, got to understand that when you're voting for Democrats, this is who you're voting for. The rest of them just have enough nerve, they have enough sense to lie about it. They all agree on the same thing, y'all. They all agree that you should abort children up to the 9th month. They all support Hamas, a terrorist organization, and Hezbollah, and Islamic Jihad, and ISIS.
Crazy.
They're all misogynists.
Check out this other... check this video out. I did it this morning. Check it out. Check it out. Hope you guys like it. Check it out.
Look at how they try to run the man out the house so he can take care of his wife and leave these women with all these children. How they are having women...
Floyd, I know you checked it out, Floyd. I appreciate you checking that video out from this morning. Check it out, everybody. Check it out.
Working in coal mines and garbage workers. They're misogynists. How they believe in pornography and aborting babies up to the 9th month, leaving so many women scarred. How they believe in using women as sex objects. This is why they love porn so much. Terrible people. The chronic victim can never be trusted, says Carl Young.
Because I want you to know that I am more offended as an African-American woman than you will ever be.
The chronic victim can never be trusted.
The reason we could never be who we wanted and dreamed to be in is you kept your knee on our neck. We could run corporations and not hustle in the street, but you had your knee on our neck. We had creative skills. We could do whatever anybody else could do, but we couldn't get your knee off our neck.
The chronic victim can never be trusted.
It's a cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps.
Stay on your knees. Stay on the plantation, boy. I've decided to be a free man. Slave's the choice.
It's a choice. Poke Chill, how you doing? Electoral College.
You know what that means, right?
What do you mean by Electoral College?
You want to castrate little boys and call them little girls. Give double mastectomies to little girls and call them little boys. Sick bastard. I mean, look. You heard it with their own mouths, and now y'all got to decide if you're going to support this party or not. Because even if you vote for a Democrat locally, you're still supporting this mess. Because all of them believe the same thing. This is the Democratic Party. I told you, they're a party of perverts, liars, psychopaths, anti-Christian bigots, thugs, hoes, and rappers. Always have been. They're the bar scene from Star Wars. To call these jokers crazy is an insult to crazy people. So America, y'all got a decision to make. I hope you make the right one. Either elect this island of misfit toys to the most powerful and have them over the most powerful government in the world with a $7 trillion budget to do all kind of malfeasance. Or you can keep common sense people that believe in Jesus Christ, believe in family, believe in order, believe there's right and that there's a wrong, that believe men are men, women are women. They don't believe in castrating children. They don't believe that you should be sexting and getting on hookup apps.
Yep. Oh, yes, he is. He's the GOAT, man. He breaking it all down about how Martin Luther King was a piece of shit. You know, nobody's perfect, but the things King did could have been better. But he was a send-off. He was a plant. But let him continue.
That's virtuous. Believe that you shouldn't support terrorism, especially terrorism against Americans. God. It's a suicide cult.
Hey, man, you got to go, Captain Howdy. You're not going to come on my chat talking about Jesus like that, man. You
I
can
talked
go.
to these weirdos today.
You're not going to come on my chat on my page dissing Jesus. You can go with that trash. Take that somewhere else, man.
She'll let you see what's coming up in November. Make sure that you gear up for it. Make sure you pay attention to it. You know why? Because I'm here to wake you up. And I hope I did you some good here today. So join me again for another edition of the Vince Everett Ellison Show.
I'm April Chapman.
And I'm Vince Everett Ellison. There's a victim narrative in the United States of America.
Encompassed a reporter from the courtroom, a reporter that is a friend of mine, a reporter that is providing.
Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for that. Thank you. 2067. Thank you, guys. We are definitely growing. Appreciate
biased facts about the Carmelo Anthony case. That is why they're upset. Leave a like on the video to support Sarah Fields. Also, I'll talk about a little bit later different ways to support her. She's in the courtroom today. I just confirmed she got in. People were at the courtroom before the sun rose this morning, but she got in, and they're only letting 25 people in each day.
This video was posted 41 minutes ago, so it's up to date. Here we go.
27, something like that. But now we're talking about threats. Starts with this. This post is sitting at over 100,000 views. I think we all know exactly who they're trying to target here. It's now being regurgitated by Carmelo Anthony supporters across social media. Notice how carefully it's worded. They never say my full name, but everyone knows who they're referring to. This is the kind of tactic used to incite supporters to harass me at the courthouse or worse.
Deranged, yeah.
They have already spent all day antagonizing Sippy Cup, who's outside the court. For the record, we have never been inside a parking garage. I wasn't even aware there was a parking garage anywhere near the courthouse. This is not something I would ever do. It's a lie. It appears to be a last-minute attempt to place me in a dangerous position during a highly publicized murder trial where tensions are already high. I have contacted my attorney. I am increasing my security precautions, and I would appreciate your prayers. Please pray for protection, wisdom, and truth. You see this individual just simply spreading a lie. Multiple sources tell me that journalist and a YouTuber, Neek at Night, who is covering the Carmelo Anthony trial, has raised concerns about alleged harassment and surveillance that she believes could now interfere with her reporting. According to Neek, an individual known as Sarah and an unidentified white male, that's their team, who she alleges were armed, were observed near her vehicle inside a parking garage. She literally lied to incite people to go attack Sarah Fields, a female journalist. It's a lie. It's a verifiable lie. She'd never been there at all. Neek has covered in numerous high-profile cases across the country without incident and said this behavior is highly unusual and a tactic to intimidate her. She has decided to publicly sound the alarm. This is to, again, Sarah Fields, they're trying to get me killed. And that's true. They are. That's absolutely true. And we're going to see it play out right now. By the way, thanks everyone for tuning in. And by the way, thanks everyone for checking out my coffee store, CBC. You can go there, Charlie Bravo, Charlie, CBC, Amazon.com. We had our biggest day in sales on Saturday in like a year. I can't wait because I know all of you who ordered. Multiple individuals approached me, Sippy and me. They were yelling and brandishing multiple firearms. One of the men initially displayed a pistol that was slung outside of his shirt and held at a low ready position. The individuals were clearly making sure that we saw the firearm as they approached. Afterward, Sippy sarcastically replied, "That's badass." Then the man responded, "Oh, I bet you didn't see this one," before lifting his shirt and brandishing another firearm that was positioned near his waistband in the center. That's not a great spot to have it. You don't want to shoot your dong off, buddy.
Idiot.
But that's neither here nor there. The group continued yelling and followed us across the front of the parking lot. Sippy immediately escorted me to our vehicle, and we left. I'm not here to give these people any time or attention. I'm here to report as I have been for the past year. It's sad that it's come to this. They are angry that I'm doing my job, and behavior like this is exactly why we've increased our security measures and are taking additional precautions. A large number of men in the parking lot, many carrying firearms, have identified themselves as members of the Black Panthers. I do not know whether the individuals who approached us were affiliated with that group or not. Now, you can carry, but you can't brandish. You can't brandish it. Can't do it. I mean, where are all the police? By the way, Sarah Fields is at Sarah is Censored on X, and I know she's like raising funds for her security detail while there. So if you want to support her, you should do that too. You should consider that. She put, you know, they're trying to kill me. I'm okay right now, but we have to take action.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody in the chat. That's what's up, right? Democratic Party is a criminal organization. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I'll play another video to connect to that.
Extreme measures. This is crazy. Why don't you tell about how you're trying to intimidate? This is what I'm saying. That Neek YouTuber, her lie works. Why don't you tell how you're trying to intimidate a black YouTuber that's covering the case by using some loser guy to intimidate her? No one is trying to take your life. You're lying B using the race card. Again, she's a liar. I literally don't care about her. No one knew who she was before this. She's just another grifter that doesn't even live in Texas. We did not video her. We did not threaten or harass her. She's an idiotic clout chaser. My guy, also known as Sippy Cup, is here to protect or to protect me. He doesn't care about her. I also, not the only one using the race card, you absolute idiot. But feel free to tell her this. I blocked her on X. She's insignificant to me. I don't have any time for her dumb drama. I'm here to do a job and keep myself and my friends safe, nothing more. So now we have Carmelo Anthony supporters in the parking lot brandishing weapons, intimidating people who are reporting on the case in an unbiased manner. Here's the two people there. By the way, they're on the ground of the Carmelo case. So it looks like their Give, Send, Go is Give, Send, Go support-independent-journalist-Sarah. I'm sure you can probably just find it on her feed, but I did want to mention that because her work there is important. So I can stay safe in my studio and she's out there. Here you have more targeting towards Sippy, the public, and he be taking photos. I can't, of course, if be playing music. So again, they're saying he's taking photos of people, all this kind of stuff. Her security guard. So they're targeting her security guard. They're targeting her. Again, this is an outright lie. This woman, Neek, is also spreading false information that places me in a dangerous position. At this point, I believe these actions are intended to incite harassment and potentially attacks against me. Because of situations like this, we've had to significantly increase our security measures and are taking additional precautions to ensure our safety. We are currently in a safe location, getting some much-needed rest. She put here, after the morning break yesterday, the man in black waited near my car and recorded which car I got into with his phone. On the next break, him and the white woman parked next to my car. That's, I assume, Sarah Fields. And we're sitting in the car when I came to the courthouse at lunch. It sounds, this is just a fabrication. A complete lie. She was in a parking structure. Sarah Fields has never even been in that parking structure. So she's just lying. But again, the rot that exists within the Carmelo Anthony supporters, take a look at this community. No, this is, by the way, you're going to love this. Leave a like on the video if you think this is the most hilarious community note maybe ever. Months ago, I revealed that this man is actually a convicted predator who was able to walk into a Frisco ISD administration building and view footage related to the incident without undergo any type of background check. After discovering this, I connected with multiple Texas legislators, and we began working on a legislative solution to close the loophole and ensure it can never happen again. Turner then attempted to sue me, claiming I was discriminating against him because of his, quote, identity. It didn't go well for him. This, Rap House, again, another, we're Stan with Carmelo account, high school staff member who claims he saw surveillance footage of the altercation between Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf shares detailed accounts of events leading up to the tragic incident. Let me be very clear. You could see nothing on this footage. Everybody I talked to who saw it months ago when it was out there, everybody agreed. You couldn't see anything.
Hey there, May. How you doing, May?
You couldn't see anything. And the community note, the speaker is Morris Dwayne Turner. He's a registered offender, and he's not a high school staff member. Oof. 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 That didn't go well, did it? Of course, tensions were high between Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony supporters. And Austin Metcalf supporter repeatedly asked Carmelo Anthony supporter to back up. Carmelo supporters then claimed the reason they're being recorded is to make them look bad. Here's another guy that probably has gotten fights over his girlfriend, I'm guessing.
Smack that motherfucking body, bitch. Wait, what? That's the thing. I don't even come to you with fucking bitches. I come to you with fuck what she said. I come to you with pain, not with no motherfucking bitches. And that's so
This guy is that guy has probably had to get a lot of people, get that woman out of fights many times. She's right back in it.
How you want peace and you up there cause all the ruckus? And if you want peace, Carmelo is guilty.
We just want peace. Well, how about you stop stabbing us? That'll be all right.
Stop the stabbing.
Oh, by the way,
stop the shooting.
Over this ridiculous intimidation, this lie. Enrique Tarrio is also there. He said, from what I witnessed, the only intimidation that happened was from Carmelo Anthony's side. I specifically didn't even walk to their area as to not cause a stir.
Right, it's all BS because they got a pedophile saying he seen the video clear as day and describing everything in the video that never happened in the video. So these people over there protesting false information, misleading everything. And then if you do tell them the truth, they don't want to hear the truth. The lady said if Carmelo is found guilty and he is guilty, how would you feel? Oh, I'm still gonna be with him. He still shouldn't go to jail. I'm still rock with him. Crazy. The man is bogus. I'm just saying that he deserved it. Carmelo Anthony was bogus. I didn't show the video yesterday, the transcripts. I didn't see some yesterday on my own. The man bogus. 21 witnesses said that he was the aggressor. He brought the knife to a game. Should never done it. No weapons belongs at any game. Any game. Any sporting event, there should be no weapons, period. Knicks had a game last night. And look at all that security they had. Yeah, Trump was there, but still, security, no weapons. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Name is Deunta, man. I'm glad you're at this channel. Thank you. Yeah, they're trying to start a riot. Another summer of love BS. They want to destroy more property. And the thing about it is the goofy blacks, the goofy niggas, gonna run with it. They're gonna go run with it and destroy their own property. And they're gonna blame the white man. No, you destroyed your home city. Like Chicago, I'm from Chicago. I saw and watched my own people destroy their own town for nothing. I was doing armed security at that too. I had to protect the hotel, had to protect a weed dispensary and a convenience store, a liquor store in Chicago. I made money doing that, doing the summer of love. Shit stupid. But let's continue. Like, share, and subscribe.
I saw multiple times his militant followers walk the parking lot and take pictures of cars and people.
Subscribe.
Well, they're doing that because the goal is to intimidate, to scare, to try and get a not guilty verdict. Remember way back when the trial started, a woman was kicked out of the trial for filming potential jurors. Why do you think she was doing that?
Doxing them.
Is it possible she was just vlogging? Maybe. Is it possible she was just filming a YouTube video?
No, she was doxing them on bullshit. Thank you.
Sure. Maybe that's possible. I don't think that's the case. they're just lying.
Fucking
they're
liars.
just lying. Like, this post should be, I guess they posted on Instagram. It's like lying is all they have. I think Carmelo Anthony supporters have every right to be there, by the way, just so I'm clear.
Yeah, be there support, I get it, but don't go over there on BS, causing chaos and lying. Claim you saw some video, you never even seen no video. And then the guy who said he seen the video, he's a pedophile. He's nasty.
There. Carmelo Anthony supporters, no matter how loud they are, no matter how drunk they want to get.
Yeah, and there's a lady I showed the video yesterday, basically getting drunk over there. She ready to turn up bullshit. You're not drinking to be happy for the verdict. You drinking to cause chaos. She's drinking to get drunk to cause chaos to hear the verdict that she don't want to hear, which is gonna be he's guilty, and she's gonna turn up.
However much rap music they want to play because they're treating this like a barbecue, they have a right to be there as long as they're staying within, as long as you're staying within whatever's legal. Okay, you can't be putting your hands on people. You can't be filming people with the purpose to intimidate them. You can't be brandishing your firearms to try and intimidate reporters.
Thank you.
Very simple
Bingo,
rules. Now,
boom, bam. Thank you.
People that are habitual line steppers like this, just like Prince was. Was it Prince that was a habitual line stepper, or was it Charlie Murphy? I think it was Prince. I can't remember exactly. It's like when you don't follow the rules, it's like you don't see any. You know what? To be honest with you, let's say, okay, Jake Lang's there. Jake Lang is a white guy whose only purpose is to rile people up.
What up, Janelle? What up, bro?
He's not. Remember when he went to he broke into the track and filmed fake blood and told his followers that that's the blood of Austin Metcalf. Remember that? I know people like him because occasionally he does funny things like putting bacon in the Quran. Okay. He's a liar and a grifter. Just look up how he filmed. He used Austin Metcalf's, and maybe he put something on the ground, but he wasn't even on the right side of the stadium when he filmed that. That's the blood of Austin Metcalf. It wasn't.
Idiot. Anything for clicks and views,
but he's
boy.
There. I mean, he's there. So it's not like there aren't a few unruly people. But you got this guy, Charleston White. I can't even play this video because he just says the N-word nonstop. But in this video, he just outright lies. He says that he said he's watching the trial and that Carmelo Anthony brought a multi-tool. That's what he says. He states that as a fact. Carmelo Anthony, by the way, he's getting sued, just so you know.
Good.
He states as a fact Carmelo Anthony brought a multi-tool. That is simply not true. I don't know of a single multi-tool that has a 5-inch blade. Do you?
He could have stabbed it with a pencil. It's still murder. You stabbed somebody. All he did was touch you and asked you 15 times to leave. And once again, you stabbed somebody. Really? It doesn't matter what he did. He still stabbed somebody. Over nothing. He shouldn't have been there. His ass should have been at home.
He says it was a Boy Scouts multi-tool. No, it was a folding knife with a 5-inch blade. I have not seen that on any multi-tool, and I have many of them. I have some from Gerber. I have who makes the Skeletool. That's another company. I have that one. Those are about the longest blades I've ever seen, and those are like still under the 3.5-inch blade, whatever the 3-inch blade limit is or whatever. I have not seen a multi-tool with a 5-inch blade. But that has not stopped moron Charleston White, Leatherman, thank you, Leatherman Skeletool, yeah. I've never seen a 5-inch blade on a, but that's what he says in this as a fact.
It was a tool.
There, right here.
What kind of tool? A Boy Scouts tool. And it wasn't 6 inches, it wasn't 4 inches. It's just a little small tool, compact tool.
It's not true. He just put this video out. It's literally not true. They showed the knife in court.
Damn. There you go. See? Charleston White on bullshit.
It was a 5-inch blade. But this clown is like, oh, it's just a little thing. It was a multi-tool. Maybe there is a multi-tool with a 5-inch blade. Maybe. But it didn't sound, they said it was a folding knife. And it had a 5-inch blade. I don't think, if it was so small, it wouldn't have pierced his heart. I don't think what they showed was a multi-tool, but this guy is out there saying, oh yeah, it was just a multi-tool. By the way, this guy is getting sued by Sarah as well, the reporter, for some other nonsense that he was doing around her too, spreading defamatory lies.
What kind of tool they call it? A multi-tool that you use, the Boy Scout uses.
Yeah, screwdriver and everything.
Wasn't a knife?
Yes, it was. Like, he's just lying. He's just lying, and people listen to this guy and like, yeah, man, he's about the culture.
Right, him and Flies, man. Maybe listen to these goofies, man.
But since you guys can't go to the trial, you can't be in the trial, you're not talking to nobody that's reliable in the trial, y'all don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So,
well, my friend's in the room. If I looked like, how long is the leather blade? Let's see. 2.5 to 3.3 inches. Leatherman blades often vary significantly by model, but they range from 2.5 to 3 inches, not 5. Now, can you find a Leatherman with a 5-inch blade? I don't know. I don't see one. Is there a multi-tool out there with a 5-inch blade? Maybe, but that's not what it was. They got shown the picture. These people are out here just spreading lies for profit and putting truth, forefront. People say, why are you covering a random Twitter guy? This is a guy who is extremely popular. Charleston White is a huge celebrity in the black community. That's why you see all these black folks out there thinking, well, it was just a multi-tool. You'll see somebody protesting this week saying, he was just a multi-tool. And they will have gotten it from Charleston White. Make sure to leave a like on the video right now. Make sure you subscribe or follow down below.
Subscribe.
You guys, there's going to be many, many updates today. So stick with it. Subscribe wherever you're watching this or follow. And we'll see you in the next segment.
There seem to be a lot of similarities here between Ohio Medicaid fraud and the fraud that we saw in Minnesota.
Yeah, it's the same people.
Fraud
they all
is
have
bad.
relatives in both places, and they move back and forth.
Congressional investigators have discovered a multi-state fraud network run by career criminals who allegedly start fake daycares in places nobody's looking into, break every law imaginable, and then do it again. But while the schemes of these crooks are now being blown wide open all across America, the politicians at the top still think it's a good idea to run for re-election.
Okay, let's talk about Ilhan Omar. She's officially filed for re-election. She wrote, filed for re-election, excited to continue representing the incredible people of Minnesota's 5th District. This comes, of course, as she continues to face criticism over potential allegations linking her to individuals connected to Minnesota's massive fraud scandal.
There's hundreds of millions of dollars of illegal profits being made with social adult daycare centers. You've probably never heard of a social adult daycare center. They're popping up all over the place. In fact, double.
Well, you see, the thing about it is, as a YouTuber, it's called do research. These guys going out there and not doing no research. They going by word of mouth or they feelings, and they spreading the bullshit ass lie. There's information out there. It's out there. A lot of platforms. But nobody want to do the research. They go by people's YouTube numbers and views and think, oh, they trustworthy. No, do your own research. And then only that, some of these people that got million subscribers, half of them not even monetized. They just putting videos out, not getting no money on it. But it is what it is. Let's continue.
doubling the amount of money they're making every few months. What's going on?
There's one guy, he racked up $30,000 in tax debts in Columbus running this daycare center. and
Beautiful
not paying
Bill,
his
morning.
taxes. So then he started a home health care company in Minnesota, billed $35,000 in 1 month, and then dissolved the company.
Filing for re-election. Yeah, has she ever heard that line, Gab? Maybe sit this one out, because that is the first thing that I would say to her. Minnesota voters and the American people deserve answers.
You know who doesn't have an affordability problem in America right now? That would be the people stealing from it. Look at this. But what nobody's talking about is there's a major operation going on right now to distract you from all of this, so the status quo of crime in this country can continue. Which is why we're seeing riots taking over sanctuary cities. That's right, the foot soldiers of socialism and open borders and fraud are marching on the streets of America, and their goal is to make you think your fellow countrymen are under attack from the very federal government. Industrialized scammers are busy robbing to fund all of this mayhem while empowering politicians to usher in even more of it. And what's wild about this is, on one hand, we're seeing arrests, we're seeing convictions and prosecutions of scammers, but then all of the politicians who are allegedly connected to all of this, they're all running for something. Ilhan Omar's running for re-election. Karen Bass in LA is running for re-election. Gavin Newsom wants to be president.
Amazing.
And the reason they can
Happy
do this
Tuesday,
is because
everybody.
the
Happy
king of fraud
Tuesday.
himself, Governor Walz,
Like, share, and
was told to
subscribe.
take one for the team to protect the industrial scam complex here, which is now circling the wagons around those who are fighting at the national level to keep the entire thing going, claiming that investigations into criminal behavior are illegitimate, creepy, or just made up. Watch this.
It is really disturbing and creepy to have the President of the United States be obsessed with you. I know that he is deflecting from the failures of his presidency.
But that brings us to the real reason we're seeing so many things happen at once. You've got these luxury cars, these luxury homes, these SUVs, and you've got business networks that are popping up all over the country, started by people over here who then move over here and then do it again over here. And how are they getting away with this without political backing? That's what investigators want to know. And once they find out, things could get really bad for the people who've enabled this and covered it up, which is why Tim Walz stepped down. And although we don't know where the money went, it's pretty easy to guess, because who would be out there defending fraudsters and criminals who rob America, stealing from its children and its needy, all to spend their money on luxury vacations and things none of us will ever be able to afford, with operations that are becoming increasingly more obvious. It's like they're not even trying to hide it anymore, like this.
And it just seems to be the family business is billing Medicaid.
Criminal rings. We did a lot of work previously this year on Medicaid fraud in Minnesota. There seem to be a lot of similarities here.
Yeah, it's the same people. They all have relatives in both places, and they move back and forth. First of all, I think there was $130 million in cash that transferred from the Columbus airport to the Minnesota airport. And so they're moving basically briefcases of cash.
That's crazy. So not only do we have massive amounts of fraud taking place in Minnesota, but criminals operating there, we're moving between other states, creating different businesses in other places where nobody was checking, taking money, and in some cases not even paying taxes, and then using that money to pay. It's just, what a nightmare. How is this legal? Well, the good news is it's not, and people are finally getting busted. Watch this.
You got it right. And they're a mother and a daughter, by the way.
Damn.
Pay moms to lie that their children had autism. Well, this is a much bigger problem for the country. These programs, especially Medicaid, were designed sort of on the honor system. You were asking people to pay for things your family would normally do for you. And so you'd assume they would take advantage of the system once in a while, but it would be very rare. So this is a good example in autism, where we've taken an ailment, a tragic condition for many families that they're struggling financially to cope with. And it was supposed to cost $3 million, $4 million. Not supposed to cost $400 million.
That's a lot of money. And the crazy thing about this revelation is we're learning that America's piggy bank is accessible on the honor system, and there might be consequences later if the fraud is big enough. What a mess. What a recipe for disaster. And this is why the people connected to these scams, like Governor Walz and Representative Omar, are so defensive about them. Because even though Tim Walz stepped down. He tried to defend himself for not caring about fraud, stating that Minnesota is a generous state. And we're so generous, there's no guardrails, but that's just so we can help as many people as quickly as possible, which is what Dr. Oz just said. The only difference is somebody realizes that there's a problem with that system, and somebody else thinks that the ends justify the means. Who cares if there's fraud? We help people. So what? It all evens out. That's the attitude that is going to bankrupt our country, and which leads to new scams like this next one popping up everywhere.
Healthcare is becoming unaffordable in part because of the amount of fraud that's taking place. I want to tell you a story about what's happening here in Flushing, Queens, New York City. Within a block of this New York City police precinct, there's hundreds of millions of dollars of illegal profits being made with social adult daycare centers. You've probably never heard of a social adult daycare center. They're popping up all over the place, in fact, doubling the amount of money they're making every few months. What's going on? Here's the deal. You get a bunch of seniors who live in a small insular community. They want to hang out together. These are now funded by Medicaid in New York State. And they get together, but unbeknownst to them, there's actually a fraudster running these endeavors.
Wow. So first we learned that one way to rob America by billing the government for stuff you never do is to start one of these daycare centers. We saw so many empty daycare centers all over Minnesota. And now we're seeing the same thing in New York City, which is another place where there are no checks and balances apparently, because you got these adult daycares, these hangouts that are somehow funded by all of America. For what purpose? And as you're about to see, some of these people, they're not even showing up, just like the daycares. What a coincidence.
And they're not all bad, but when they're bad, they can sometimes even bribe the senior. They'll pay them money to lie and pretend that they're coming there every day so they can bill the government, even though they're not coming at all. Once they get them hooked, then they say, okay,
they straight milking it, baby.
You're going to pretend to get a medication that you don't need, or I'm going to get an x-ray you don't need, or a treatment that you're not supposed to have. I'll send you something from a durable medical equipment supplier. How about a wheelchair? You don't need it because you can walk, but I'll send it to you anyway. And then they send you a personal care assistant. The number one job now in New York State is a personal care assistant, a home health aide to help you in your home, and you don't need it.
Wow, that's insane. So it goes beyond the building that is fraudulently billing the government, and it feeds into all of these other fraudulent little services, medications people don't need, wheelchairs for people who can walk. I mean, and I'm sure there are scammers at the other end of these medical equipment suppliers that are teamed up with places that are going to funnel them clients who don't even need a wheelchair or don't even need a patient at their pharmacy. There's a network of fraud going on here, and it's deeper than any of us ever knew. And the fact that this is all being done on the honor system is why we've got so many of these places cropping up all over the place. No one's checking. No one can check. And in instances where people are supposed to care and are supposed to check, it seems like they don't want to because they say, hey, we helped someone. Someone went to an adult daycare or somebody went to a daycare and yeah, there's fraud, but hey, we can't catch everybody. What's the big deal?
What's the big deal?
Testimony is that there is a large interstate criminal enterprise of fraudsters that are defrauding the federal government in multiple states of potentially billions of dollars. Is that your testimony?
Wow.
And can you give us a sense of the scale of this fraud? We saw it in Minnesota. We're seeing it here, but have you seen it in other places, or can you give us a sense for either dollar values or the number of people
Good morning, Matt.
involved, in your opinion?
There's thousands of people involved. I would say that the majority of people are either on Medicaid home health care or are providing Medicaid home health care services. They had recently 15,000 people. This nonprofit group, this advocacy group, which is tied to actually founded by a home health care guy. They had 15,000 people come to this party in Ohio, and they bust in all the participants on their Medicaid vans because everybody there has their own Medicaid company.
Interesting. So you have an army of fraudsters that are basically bussing people around so that they can get charged and so that the federal government can pay for it. And this is like a full-time occupation at a time when regular people are having...
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, chat. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Let's get it.
Problems putting gas in their cars or buying groceries, right? We've got massive inflation in housing markets in these deep blue cities because they don't build enough houses. We've got massive retail theft rings operating in these places that steal products and force costs up so stores can stay open. You've got people trying to obey the law, but they're just subsidizing criminals at every single turn. And then when they try to sign up for health care, that's extra expensive because there's so many criminals accessing that. The federal government's running out of money. And we've got to ask ourselves a big question here. Who do you think these fraudsters are supporting when it's election time? Do you think they're going to get out there and rally behind a candidate who wants accountability, who wants crackdowns, who wants investigations? Or are they going to rally around a candidate who just talks about helping people and just talks about doing the greatest good for the greatest number of people? Of course, we all know the answer to that. And it's this emotional language that is designed to separate hardworking Americans who care about each other from their hard-earned money. But now we're all starting to ask questions like, who's behind this? How deep does this actually go? And will there finally be some consequences?
Okay, let's talk about Ilhan Omar. She's officially filed for re-election, announcing her decision in a brief post on X. She wrote, filed for re-election, excited to continue representing the incredible people of Minnesota's 5th District. Okay, this comes, of course, as she continues to face criticism over potential allegations linking her to individuals connected to Minnesota's massive Feeding Our Future fraud scandal, one of the largest fraud cases in US history, as well as questions around whether she married her brother or not.
Nasty.
We're asking about that.
Filing for re-election, what are her chances?
I think she'll win.
Filing for re-election. Has she ever heard that line, Gab? Maybe sit this one out, because that is the first thing that I would say to her.
Yeah.
Minnesota voters and the American people deserve answers to these questions about fraud, where the money's gone, where taxpayer money has gone.
So here's the thing. She very well could win re-election because she's popular nationally. She's popular locally. She may win. She may absorb all of the...
Brian, it's not looking good for Tallarico. He missed my video in the morning. I just played. I've been on for about an hour. So like 30 minutes ago, I done played a video where he's not looking good in Texas.
The socialist energy in America because she's a national voice standing against Trump. But she also may be investigated at the exact same time because what she's done allegedly is very serious. If this turns out to be true, there's also massive questions about her rise to riches.
Yeah, the people in Texas, they see that they're not going for that vegan and God's binary and all that. Texas ain't going for that. Texas too conservative.
Which still have not been answered. I have to wonder if the financial disclosures, the revisions on the screen right now would have ever happened if the governor of her state were the vice president, who would be the one in charge. Notice right now, J.D. Vance is investigating all of the fraud across America, and Tim Walz was causing a lot of the fraud in certain parts of America, or at least leading the way. Would he have investigated fraud? I don't know.
Last week, as you know, with the White House Anti-Fraud Task Force led by the vice president, we were witnessing exactly why these two women were able to get away with it. Within the Department of Health, they would ostracize and shut down whistleblowers who were trying to put their hand up and saying, guys, there's something wrong here. At least help me look into the problems. And they escort these people out of the building and never let them return to their primary jobs. Well, the number one biller of Botox in the country just went to jail. She billed $25 million for Botox to Medicaid, pretending that it was going to help people with migraines.
That's crazy.
Again, fraudster, coming from a place you could not imagine, and we're catching these folks. But the real question we should be asking ourselves, is this a flaw or is it a feature?
Oh, it's a feature. This system has been designed this way on purpose because it's on the honor system, and people without honor, well, what are they going to do? They're going to defy the honor system because they don't have any, and they're going to steal, and they're going to rob our country, and they're going to enrich themselves, and they're going to enrich people who set up more of these zero guardrails programs that are supposed to help everyone immediately, and who cares if there's fraud because we need help. That's the attitude behind all of this. And what we're talking about here is state-sponsored fraud. We've got elements of the federal government, elected representatives, passing laws, setting all of this up just so that it can be taken advantage of. And then when great people who are hardworking and honest want access to these programs, they're all full, or they're running out of money, or you got to get in line because the adult daycare or the child daycare or whatever is full, and they can't enroll any more beneficiaries because if they do, they think it might bring up a red flag. Meanwhile, nobody actually goes because everyone enrolled in these places are fake. So you have all these places around that claim to help people. Nobody's inside and nobody can go. And now, as you're about to see, the same thing's happening with Obamacare, which is why nobody can afford what's in the Affordable Care Act.
2015, 16, 17, 18, 2020. There were 9 million people on Obamacare. 9 million. Today, it's more than 20 million. Like, what happened? What happened was we completely took the guardrails off. And I know this because I'm working in the agency that actually was told to take the guardrails off. And because there wasn't an earnest desire to keep track of whether you're appropriately on it or not, but more importantly, just get the number to where we all feel good about ourselves, we had massive increases of people joining the program. We believe that 35% roughly of the people that are using the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare exchanges, because they've never used the program once, they've never filed a claim, may not be legit.
Wow.
And that actual number may translate to 5-6 million people we could be paying premiums for because they don't have to contribute anything. So they don't even know they're getting it. These are people who have Medicaid, and someone, often a broker, is dishonestly enrolling them on in an Affordable Care Act, or they're in 2 states at once getting full insurance paid for by us.
And who gets that money? The insurance companies. That's right. That's why we don't hear them complaining too much about the cost of health care. America's paying for it. America doesn't care what the premiums are because you've got people enrolled in these programs. They don't even know they're on it. They're paying money to insurance companies. Millions of people all over the place. This is just so crazy. It gets worse. Every single day we learn more about this fraud and all of these scams enabled by our elected representatives. The whole thing just gets worse. It never gets better. Every time they catch somebody, every time they convict somebody, we learn that the fraud's even worse. Now there's multi-state scams going on with fraudsters opening businesses all over the place. And it's almost like at this point, fraud is part of how certain parts of America operate and run themselves, which has us headed on a pathway to bankruptcy. We need to start doing something about this right now. Thank God we are, but this is going to take a long time. This is not the kind of thing that's going to get fixed in 1 year of a few fraudsters getting sent to jail. No, this is going to take a long time. There's so many operations. Look at all the operations that need to be investigated in New York, all of these adult daycares.
But again, I think the American people
Adult
are
daycare.
demanding answers. We need to hold her accountable. Americans are exhausted by this double standard that comes from Democrats and our representatives.
Totally.
And I think the shift starts now.
Yep. Hopefully.
You're exactly right. I mean, there's been so much attention on Minnesota and so many questions around how much she knew or didn't know. Same goes for Tim Walz.
Yep.
I mean, they've both at least proven to be completely incompetent.
Who stepped down, by the way?
I want to get your thoughts on
And the great part is this has been brought to light by just regular tax-paying American citizens, right? The level of fraud, the amount of money that we want to know where it's gone, all of this has been highlighted and brought to life by tax-paying citizens.
Right. When somebody like Nick Shirley can grab a GoPro and go to places and investigate them and find a whole bunch of weird stuff, you know there's a problem because that's something investigators should have caught. That's stuff that Governor Tim Walz would have known about in Minnesota if he would walk down the street. Ilhan Omar as well. There's no way these individuals didn't know what was going on in the state they claim to represent. Unless, of course, they don't actually know what's going on in their own state. But that's impossible when you're taking pictures with these people. That's impossible when everyone's telling you how much good you're doing for the community. Yet the businesses they claim to operate never have anybody inside of them. Like a 10-second investigation at any of these places. All you had to do was sit in front of one of these daycares or these Leering centers and just see who comes in and out. And, no one's coming in or out. No one's been here all month. But they're billing. They're sending us so many bills to Medicaid and we're just paying, but nobody ever comes in and out. Like, this is so easy to catch. But people didn't want to catch it. And here's why cracking down on fraud is the solution to unaffordability in this country. Check this out.
There's a very strong effort by us. We actually made a rule 2 weeks ago that starts the process. We had tried to do this when we first came into office. Court enjoined us.
Sure.
Did not feel we'd followed appropriate APA guidelines, and so we redid it and now went back out again. But if you care about the ACA, then you want us to take the fraud out. And let me just take a step back. If we want you to go back to work on Medicaid, what's going to happen? You're going to start making money. As you make money, you're going to make enough money. You get above the poverty level. You're going to want to buy an Affordable Care Act product or private industry. Commercial insurers are going to start using it. That's a good thing. We're getting America back up.
What up, Rick? What up, Ricky? Yeah, I showed it this morning. The motorcade of going by in New York and people celebrating. Matter of fact, it's on my video I did this morning. Yep, check this video out. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's a good video. You'll like it.
Up to getting into work, getting him into the stratosphere, building prosperity. So we want these programs to work together. But if you got millions of people, literally, who are getting insurance that they don't want, they don't even know they have it, and we're all paying for it, that's tens of billions of dollars we're throwing away. That increases premiums for everybody. It drives affordability down.
And that's how socialism works. That's how redistribution works. And in this case, America's money is being redistributed not to people who have the greatest need, but to people who are scammers. When the reality here is we need law and order and we need capitalism. That's what's going to bring back affordability to America. You need competition. And you don't have fair competition if you don't have real supply and demand. Right now you have fake demand.
Yeah, stupid as hell. Stephen A. Smith to tell New York Trump not to come to a game. Trump damn near helped build New York. You know what I'm saying? Him and his family, and he's a native of New York. Trump Towers. What the heck? No, just dead. Obama went to a Golden State game, a championship game. Nobody freaked out about that. He went to a Golden State game. Obama did. What's the problem around here, man? The TDS is very strong on these people. Stephen A. Smith, I'm independent, but you still vote Democrat every goddamn time. And there's no independent ballot. It's only Republican and Democrat. What's wrong with these people? Let's see.
And it's time for Lefties Losing It. Let's start with New York City Council addressing the really big issues plaguing the city. You know, the crime, the filth, the homelessness. Of course, I'm kidding. They're too busy organising a pride ball in council chambers to honour the LGBTQIA.
Right, so like Stephen A. Smith and Bill Murray switch roles, you know what I'm saying, on mine, because now I'm Bill Murray talking with some sense. Seeing a little red pill, but Stephen A. Smith, he just full of shit. Period.
A++2SL community.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it makes no sense. What the heck is this?
Yes, let's keep focusing on the really important stuff in New York City. Now to somewhere even more left than Manhattan, and that's DC, where more than 90% vote Democrat, and they'd rather live in decay than give President Trump any sort of praise for cleaning up the joint.
Right, Jeffrey.
Dramatic
These people are sick.
the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool is being bagged by these misery guts.
I would have preferred to keep it like it was. It's an incredibly stupid idea. I'm delighted that it's still reflecting.
I think it's horrible. The color I've seen on the news is disgusting to me, as opposed to how beautiful it was in the past.
But at least this former hater has enough integrity to admit the truth, to admit the obvious.
I thought it was a stupid idea to paint the reflecting pool
for y'all. It looks good. It actually looks really good. Like, it makes the reflection look extraordinarily prominent in a way that it did not look before. And I hate that.
Yes, she may be the last honest Democrat in DC. How can anyone not be happy with the improvements that are happening in DC? The reflecting pool actually looking beautiful and clean and regal. No more green algae and filth, just beautiful blue. You know, decline is a choice. Now, this next lady really sums up the modern Democrat.
Here you go, right here. It's the difference, you guys. That the ladies looked at, yeah. It's a big difference.
So watch her defend Democrat Graham Plattner, his Nazi tattoo. Even that is okay by her, but she does draw the line at an Israeli tattoo. That would be unforgivable.
They are trolling for dirt. What if he has like a Israeli flag tattoo or something? Would that be a deal breaker? For me? Yeah. Honestly, yeah. That would be
Insane.
Yeah, because I don't support genocide and he doesn't either. And that would show that he was being inconsistent.
Now, you would have heard plenty about President Donald Trump being fed up with NBC's Kristen Welker. I mean, if she's going to blatantly lie about her own worldview.
As you know, in the last time we were a dead country, Kristen. I know you're a big liberal, a big progressive.
No, I'm just a journalist.
We were a dead country.
And after an hour in the rain, being met with increasingly stupid, boneheaded questions, the president had enough. Watch here as he tells the interviewer what he thinks of her network, and in fact, the entire industry. This is art.
I want to talk about Todd.
You have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
Your
about
elections in this country. We're like a third world country. Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC and CBS and CNN. You're one-sided crooked networks. Right? Let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
Who cares?
I've sat in the rain.
I sat in the rain with you for an hour.
Right, let the man talk, trying to fact check the man and everything. When it came to Biden and Obama, they treat them with no problem. Softball questions and all that trash. Let the man answer his question. Get it out. I'm glad he left her dumb ass hanging.
On and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You want to straighten out your press because you know what? A country can never be great with a dishonest.
Who gives a?
All the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
I traveled all the way to Wisconsin. Like that's some sort of a sacrifice. Honey, you flew first class to do your job, which you did poorly, by the way.
Oh.
Who does she think she is? Let's bring in Sky News contributor Kosha Gator. Kosha, really, what is the press trying to do? We've already got extensive polling showing trust in the media is at historic lows, and some in the media have decided that's not low enough. We just want to just keep digging.
Yes, and if you're interviewing the president of the United States, and especially Trump, this isn't her first rodeo. She's done it before. She knows that he's going to be adversarial. There's a little bit of a give and take that happens, and making it about herself is not wise.
That was the biggest problem I had with it, not just that the questions were boneheaded and just a complete lack of insight or acceptance of the fact that the electoral system in the US leaves a lot to be desired, particularly in California. We're going to talk about that. But making it about herself, I came all the way here.
Right. That's like journalism 101. You are not the subject. So that was unfortunate. I think it's because she got flummoxed that he's getting up and leaving, and those are the thoughts and words that came out.
It's about her.
She should be happy because it gives her a moment. I mean, that was actually, that made the interview. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about it.
It would have been boring. And that's the second piece to your point that I think.
Fog, what's up? Fog 22, good morning.
Started, and then there's a lag effect to what's happening to the business models that are all now imploding for a lot of these networks and layoffs and everything else. They still are playing to their camp, and they're not trying to be a product of mass appeal or that speaks to the whole country. So from that perspective, she might consider this a win.
Well, yeah, in her echo chamber, that could be a win because she was mistreated by the president who walked off. But after an hour on and off. I mean, how long do you want with the leader of the free world? Well, let's talk about the unbelievable shenanigans in the LA mayoral race, where the woman who gave a tearful concession speech on election night somehow managed to poll insane numbers, improbable numbers, in the mail-in votes to go past Spencer Pratt. Kosha.
Morning.
Explain to the audience how that happens, because the Californian system, that there is a lot of scope there for chicanery.
It's pathetic. It really is. Even if you want to give it the most charitable explanation that that's the system, which is what Kristen Welker was trying to do, it is so pathetic that they can't count on election day. It's 7 days on. The governor's race, by the way, still hasn't been counted. It's going to go on for 2 more weeks.
Good morning, Will.
How can that be? You've got countries with tens of millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of voters.
That do it in the same night.
They do it in the same night. How can you have a first world country and they can't manage to get a result for weeks?
That's right. And even in the same country, Florida, as an example.
If you haven't, like, share, and subscribe.
In 2000, they
Let's
reformed
grow,
their
let's
laws and
grow.
system, and now they have almost 30
And
million
share.
people in the state of Florida, and they count it on election night very precisely. So it can be done, and that leads to, again, people thinking at best, it's incompetence. And at worst, it's something more sinister. And whether rightly or wrongly, that perception is only there. It's only going to increase. Where multiple things happen. A, they take 7+ days to count. B, this mass mail-in voting floods the system, which is inherently more prone to fraud, whether it's happening or not, because multiple people have to touch it across the chain of custody. C, somebody who's very unpopular, like Nithya Raman, surges from behind.
She's outpolling the mayor. So Karen Bass was number 1 after election night.
Right.
Spencer Pratt number 2. So you would think those two would be going off.
And she was a distant third. And this comes in.
She was more than 8% behind. And yet the votes that were counted late, she was not just outpolling Spencer Pratt. She was outpolling Mayor Bass.
Right.
So in the end, you're going to end up with 2 hard left options. There is going to be no independent, no centrist, no Republican.
And they haven't had it for 80 years. So that's just going to happen. And I would say that it's also worth remembering this happens in other cities, and 2020. There's a reason why many people didn't believe and will never believe. They're going to go to their grave not believing that election was fully above board and that Biden didn't get 81 million votes and all that. So this dredges all of that back up. And it's a complete joke. The entire world is watching and they don't care.
And the media doesn't care because it doesn't suit them, because we know the politics of the overwhelming majority of the media. But if the media had some curiosity about what's happening here, that would be the story of the century. The fact that you've got the biggest democracy, arguably in the world, with systems that are corrupted. And I want to play just a clip from a Californian here. He's a barrister, a litigator, and he just explains how the system in California is so open to cheating. This is Ashton Cohen.
You can literally register to vote with a gym membership card, a debit card, or an insurance card, which the state will hand you for free, even if you're in the country illegally. When I actually went to vote in person with my parents, my dad forgot that California has no voter ID requirements, which, by the way, is the norm in virtually every democracy in the world. So he pulled out his ID, and they were like, no, put that away. Oh,
damn.
I was so shook and offended, because fraud is basically a virtue here. To make matters worse, we have the most egregious ballot harvesting in the country. This practice, which again is banned in virtually every democracy in the world, is commonplace here. So radical political organizations exploit it by targeting people in Skid Row, in poor neighborhoods, in non-English speaking communities, register them to vote, tell them how to vote, even fill out the ballot for them, and then collect all those ballots by the thousands and drop them off.
Kosha, this is banana republic stuff. This is just, not just underhanded, but it's cheating. This is not a democracy. And the whole way mail-in voting has been weaponized, it was supposed to be a one-off to deal with a pandemic. Now it's been institutionalized and being used by political parties to gain an advantage.
Yes, and it's so hard to get it out. So for years they were creeping and trying to increase it from, it used to just be for service members that are serving, verifiable expats, or the infirm who physically can't get there and have medical proof that they can't get there, very small numbers. And then bit by bit, always in blue states and cities, they were expanding it. And then COVID was just a gift to that agenda, because it became the pretext to completely just flood the system with mail-in votes. That's part of the reason why it takes them so long. But also it is ripe for fraud, whether it's actually happening or the perception of it is happening. That will lead to things like what happened at Jan 6. It will lead to the fact that people like that gentleman who played and others are just completely not trusting the system. And if you don't trust the system, bad things are going to happen. I don't know when, I don't know where, but that is not a healthy recipe for a healthy
And Spencer Pratt made the point that there was, I think, something.
Well, they try to make it where it's like our votes don't count. Our votes do count. That's why they're going through all this BS to say it don't, but it does. That's crazy, man. A gym membership card, you can go vote with that. A gym membership card. No signature, no address, no real proof, but a damn gym membership card, you can go vote in an election. That's insane.
Like a 48,000 jump in the votes against him, or going to the third place candidate, pushing her up to second place. And that is just coincidentally the homeless population in LA. So, and as he explained, they do target vulnerable populations who perhaps aren't politically engaged, aren't going to be participating in the vote, and fill in the ballots for them in some cases.
That's the other piece too. So if it's not outright fraud, that would be in a category where it's not illegal technically, but they're just the machinery. The Democrat machinery is really, really good at finding these low information, low propensity voters, showing up, as he said, with ballots printed out. There are laws where you can't fill it in and mail it, but you can do everything up until that last step with them. And then on top of that, you add into the mix of these homeless people, in the case of LA, may not even be from California. They could be from Seattle. They're down there.
And like you said, it's almost offensive to offer your ID as if you are participating in something that's improper. So we could go show up at LA and vote.
Yeah.
So we are going to end up with two hard left candidates. What for LA now? Because Spencer Pratt, the reason why his campaign gained nationwide, international attention was perhaps there was finally going to be an option for locals
It's
in
a
LA.
more fraud. That's a Democrat Party, man. They can't help
Very
themselves.
different candidates. Now you've got two socialists on the ballot.
Good luck to them. They're going to need it. Absolutely. And he was also such a good candidate. He played the game so well, so savvy with the media, didn't really allow himself to be pigeonholed in one party or the other. Yes, he's a Republican, but came off as an independent, didn't want to get tagged to Trump, didn't want to get tagged to anything else. And his home burned down in those fires. She presided, Karen Bass, incumbent, presided over those fires. So there was that whole dynamic in there. And she's going to get rewarded probably with another re-election. It's now her versus the Mamdani of the West Coast.
Mamdani of the West Coast. Now, President Trump has nominated Todd Blanche to serve as Attorney General. Kosha Blanche has been serving as acting AG since Pam Bondi's stepped down. But he's going to face a tough confirmation. There's already Democrats coming out going, this is a no from us. We're not even entertaining him being AG. And it's such a crucial role in the administration.
I think all of Trump's cabinet positions, appointees, other than Marco Rubio, who was 99-1 or 100-0, they voted for him, former colleague, and more acceptable to them. But everybody else is down party lines. So I think the Democrats are all going to be a no, and they know that. Trump knows that, Todd Blanche knows that, and it's all about getting the squishy Republicans.
Well, LA is set for another 4 years of failure.
This is disenfranchise at least more than 25% of your entire population, not giving them the option for change.
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, Brian Reedy. Good morning.
Is a communist.
Celebrities are using their voices to lecture others about what is wrong with the country and the duly elected president.
Whoever thought that me thought they should be president of the United States?
Well, what an intellectual genius here is. The Democratic Party in America, sooner or later, will stop being addicted to celebrity endorsement.
Rosie O'Donnell is back in America and she's crashing out over who else but Donald Trump, of course.
If you grew up in New York, you knew he was an asshole and a liar from day one.
Yeah, go back to Ireland.
All right, go back. Stay there.
Hello, I'm
and Gabriella Power. Welcome to Power Hour. Thank you for joining us. Well, LA is set for another 4 years of failure because Karen Bass will be facing off against Nithya Raman in November, a mayoral candidate that barely has any following and is even further to the left than Karen Bass. And interestingly, on election night, she was up on stage in tears over the initial results.
She was crying because she lost. She lost.
That had Spencer Pratt ahead of her.
And Gavity, I hope you know, everything every person in this room is fighting for in this campaign has been about building a city that's worthy of you and every child in the city.
Now, 5 days later, the vote count continued. Nithya Raman leaped ahead, meaning Spencer Pratt, the only candidate offering real change and some common sense, is out, which is sparking a lot of questions, a lot of debate around why people in LA don't need an ID to vote, why counting votes takes such a long time, and why is it that the worst two performers of the LA mayoral debate are the ones heading to the runoffs?
And this is a yes or no question and answer. So there's an LA council member. He wants voters to decide. He is saying that non-citizens, should they be allowed to vote in local elections? Is this a yes or no, Mr. Pratt?
No.
Damn.
Mayor Bass?
It depends. It's not a yes or no.
Depends on what?
Well, first of all, when you say non-citizens, it doesn't mean they're here illegal. It doesn't mean they're undocumented. They could have green cards. They could be here perfectly legal. And there's a lot of states and cities that do that on very, very local elections. We have to see what the councilman is proposing.
Councilmember Bremen.
Yeah, I would say, again, it does depend. In other places, school boards have non-citizens.
Yes or no?
Non-citizens who vote
Mr. Pratt, I have a question for you. You told NBC News.
Good luck, LA. It is between those two. I mean, Spencer Pratt was widely considered the winner of that NBC debate, but now the people of LA will be stuck with either the current mayor, who of course let the city burn, or Nithya Raman, who is currently walking back her previous calls to defund the police. Lots of people are weighing in on this, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who posted on X, leftist cities that have been governed by failed ideologies and plagued with crime, homelessness, decay, and administrative incompetence need to change course. That won't happen, though, if the only other option is a candidate more ideologically left and even less administratively competent. Joining us now is filmmaker Ami Horowitz. Ami, it's great to see you again. Let's start with what is happening in LA. Spencer Pratt will be missing the LA mayoral runoff after Nithya Raman surpassed him for second place. And it's frustrating for many, especially seeing kind of Spencer gain momentum over the past few months. And we would have seen Spencer kind of continue that pace. He would have spent months highlighting the insane failures of the Democratic leaders. What are your thoughts on what's happening in LA right now?
Yeah, talk about disenfranchising people, right? Which the Democrats love to talk about. We just disenfranchised at least more than 25% of your entire population, not giving them the option at all. Running is a communist and somebody who actually trained under Fidel Castro. That's who you've been given the choice, Los Angeles, on who to vote for by throwing Pratt out of this race. Look, obviously, a lot has been made about how long it's taking for this to happen. And this is how we came to this conclusion where Raman actually gave essentially a concession speech because she was so...
Welcome to the chat, Wrong Way. That's crazy. That's sad for California. It's also sad for Illinois, too. We losing the damn Bears. These damn socialist, goofy-ass, Marxist, communist people. It's going down the hill, man. Going straight downhill. There's no way Chicago should be losing the Bears. And LA, how y'all giving out needles to people like that? They should be going to jail for shit like that. Supplying their habits like that.
So far behind Spencer Pratt, but then as the mail-in ballot came in, the tide turned against her. And look, people making fun of California. This is not...
Yeah, I'm born and raised from Chicago, 43 years old, from Chicago. And it's sad, man. I'm a huge Cubs fan. I like the White Sox, but I'm a huge Cubs fan. Everything about Chicago I love, man. And for the Bears to leave like that, that's just messed up, man. That's a lot of money and job opportunities for people.
Difficult. Gabriella, other states with larger a percentage of mail-in ballots get this done right after the election. It's a simple fix. You just got to have people send in their ballots early, count them first. You have that all squared away. But California wouldn't do that. We have to count every vote, including the illegal ones. Yes. Look, in order to get, if you know this, I'm sure most people don't, to register to vote, you don't have to show like a driver's license or a birth certificate. You can literally show your gym ID in order to register to vote. Now, you don't have to show any kind of ID to vote itself. Gabriella, when I made that video about voter ID laws in California, the reason why I did it because somebody voted for my dad after he had died.
Dang.
Okay? I went to vote and somebody had literally voted for him. And I said to them, how could you this be? And they said, didn't have to show ID, just gave your dad's name and address, and he was able to vote. And then, another problem we're having, Gabriella, is the idea of ballot harvesting, right? And that's also a significant problem where what that means is in the U.S. and in certain states, you can go as an individual with no connection to the person themselves and go get their ballots and take it from them and go stick it in the ballot box, right? And there's no limit. You could do that. They are manufactured hundreds. They're getting one person could do 100 different or 200 different ballots. They take in themselves to the voting block, which is obviously a different problem. And now we're seeing there's reports that they went to get homeless people to go vote. That they went to homeless encampments.
The problem is with Chicago is you get access to all the BS. Literally, damn near every spot in Chicago is a freaking liquor store in the neighborhood. Soon you walk out your front door, there's a liquor store right there. So it's like not that hard to get fucked up and do dumb shit. And then the sad thing about it is not that far as a church, not that far as a police station. It's like everything right there. Man, it's sad. It's real sad. That's the problem, man. All them liquor stores on the corner, right there, easy to get your alcohol, and then you get people standing in front of it buying all type of goofy shit, selling weed, sex, all right there in the gas station. These blue seats gotta do better. Right, yeah, California dispensaries everywhere. I'm pretty sure people standing out there selling their weed and other cigarettes out there in front of their businesses. That's the thing about Chicago too. You got a business, they gonna stand in front of your business and sell their BS. No, get your own business or go to your own house and sell your stuff. Don't come in front of my business and set up shop.
And gave them ballots to fill out, and then took to the voting establishments. One woman was arrested for paying homeless people to vote. So the problems in LA are legion, and that's how we have these two horrific candidates as the only choices in Los Angeles.
There are certainly so many questions around why people don't need ID to vote. It's interesting looking at the results, though. That
you can buy X pills, shrooms, especially like Madison and Laramie in Chicago. If you know that area, Madison, Laramie. You got Roosevelt and Cicero. Man, I can name them.
There are plenty more Democrats registered in LA and California than Republicans. So really, Karen Bass should have had a much stronger result, don't you think? And what does that really say about the Democrats in LA?
Right, John Patrick. Makes no sense, man.
Well, I mean, they have a monopoly at this point, is what it is. But yeah, I mean, it's not Karen Bass. It's Ramin Olsen. So you're talking about north of 50% of the population voted for a democratic socialist, right? Or a communist. And it says a lot. Look, as a former Los Angelino, right, where my heart, I still follow all the teams there. I'm there. My mother lives there. My family lives there. I go there 5-6 times a year. It breaks my heart to watch the city absolutely disintegrate. And now we know you're going to have at least 4 more years of that because there's going to be absolutely no change. And probably if Rahman gets elected, it's going to be a lot worse.
Could be even worse. Yeah, that is what we have to look forward to in LA, an absolute disaster. I want to get your thoughts on the media and this tense exchange with NBC host Kristen Welker and Donald Trump. And I have to say this interview looked a lot more like heckling to me.
They sent people to jail who did nothing wrong.
Just to be very clear, there's no evidence of what you're saying. But let me
There's a
ask
lot
you
of
about
evidence.
Todd Lynch. Let me ask you about
Listen
Todd
to me.
Lynch.
Listen to me.
Let's talk
There's
about Todd Lynch.
tremendous evidence. There's nothing
It's
but
not been
evidence. The
presented
election
in a
was
court of
rigged.
law.
It was a dirty election.
Mr.
And it's
President,
happening again right now in
You've never
California.
presented evidence.
It's happening
that the
right
2020
now in
election was
California.
rigged.
Right now, it's look at what's
Where's
happening
the
in
evidence
California.
to that?
It's
The
4
Republicans
days
are doing well in California.
I mean, is that really meant to be an interview? Let's just take this next part. Donald Trump having enough, just storming right out.
evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
Your
about
elections in this country, we're like a third world country. Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC, and CBS, and CNN.
But Mr. President,
you're one-sided crooked networks. All right, let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the rain.
I know.
I sat in the rain
all the
with
way
you for
to
an hour,
Wisconsin.
on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You want to straighten out your press because you know what? A country can never be great with a dishonest
Listen,
press.
we traveled all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
Gotta go.
I mean, it's so interesting. We're seeing the mainstream media freak out about that interview, but I think Donald Trump was absolutely within his rights to get up and storm off there. And it's interesting watching that clip. I think the rain makes everything
Good one, John. Good one. Right.
a lot more dramatic.
I mean, look, he gave her a nearly hour-long interview. I'm not sure what else you expected out of that. And second of all, as somebody, like, not take people behind the scenes, and I've done interviews, obviously, I'm a filmmaker. Yeah, you got to look at the weather and not put somebody in like a tin roof where you know rain is going to be pelting on top of it. So just that as an aside, just from a filmmaking perspective. But look, I'll be honest, Gabrielle, it might surprise you. I actually thought she did a good job in terms of the election result issue. I mean, he continues down this road. He doesn't have to go about there was a stolen election, and he keeps doing that. And she was right to say, where's the evidence on a stolen election? Because he had all this time to provide evidence in court, wasn't able to do it. But and he keeps failing at that. But there's another answer he can give. And that really kind of, I think, is a way to look at this particular interview. The lens to look at the media in general was he should say, let me tell you why it was stolen. Because the entire media, including yourself, was in the bag for both of my opponents, okay? And I'll give you an example. First of all, she kept trying to say, you declare this a war? Is Iran a war? And he kept saying, well, I'm not calling it a war. She kept saying, well, do you call it a war? Because she was trying to get him to say the word war, because that has some legal ramifications in terms of the War Powers Act. And if you call it a war, he loses the amount of power he had in terms of trying to do this and prosecute this conflict without Congress. But the other
Right, Pastor Savac. Scarlet Fox, what you saying? Why are y'all wilding to your Republicans? What?
The more egregious thing was I watched the NBC, it's an NBC show, the fact checking they did on this speech. And I'll give you an example how they played this game. You know,
Hey, Scarlet Fox, if you can come in this chat, you got to come with some facts and some real facts, because I can debunk all that you're talking about Matt Gaetz. If you watch The View, even if you had to apologize about Matt Gaetz' allegation, because it's not true, it's all false. Even if you had to apologize. So what are you talking about? Matt Gaetz is cool. He's good. Y'all just jump on people's chats to be saying the most stupidest shit. Come on, you liberals, Democrats. Come on, some facts. Just stop saying something. What are the facts?
He said Iran was close to a nuclear weapon. And then the fact checker said, oh, that's not true. Tulsi Gabbard herself said they weren't close to a nuclear weapon. Well, Tulsi Gabbard herself has a lot of problems and skews things in her way. She's more of an isolationist, right? And what they kept pointing to was they said, well, again, that they were farther away than you're saying he was, but they weren't, right? The evidence is all showing that he's right, that they were close to a nuclear weapon. That's why they had. They even said that they went so far as to say they weren't even trying to get a nuclear weapon, right? I don't know what the high level of enrichment uranium was. I don't know what the hidden facilities were. I don't know what the advanced centrifuges were. I don't know what the ballistic missiles only for nuclear weapons were. If they weren't trying,
right? The Democrat Party is boring.
Nuclear weapon. They also talked about how he said we destroyed their Navy. And then the fact checker said, well, they didn't destroy the Navy. They've got these little high-speed mini boats that are flying around. We wiped out every single large Navy carrier, destroyer, frigate that they had. Obviously, that's what he's referring to. He talked about how gas prices are going to be coming down. They said, well, the experts say we'll come back down for a while. Well, nobody's saying it's coming down the next day. But obviously, if the war ends,
subscribe.
So that's what I would have focused on if I were him, in terms of the election being stolen, because the media like NBC are all supporting his opponents.
Yeah, that's 100% spot on. But trust those experts, Army. The mainstream media love to roll them out whenever they can. Let's turn to the UK, because I want to get your thoughts on this horrific story about Henry Novak was treated by police. It's absolutely sickening. We played this on the show twice last week, this video of police arresting Henry Novak as he was bleeding to death. There are now reports that Hampshire police tried to portray Henry Novak as the aggressor against his killer Vikram Digwa, just 3 days after Henry was murdered. So according to the Sunday Times, the initial police statement implied that Henry Novak had assaulted Vikram Digwa. So this is what the report says. It was reported 2 men had been assaulted by an unknown man. But Army, we know that Digwa murdered by stabbing Henry multiple times with a Sikh ceremonial knife before lying and claiming that Henry had racially abused him. This is shocking. I don't even know if it's surprising anymore. Can I get your reaction to this development?
Yeah, this is a story that, you spoke about it twice. Well, we should talk about it more than that, okay? Yeah. This is an unbelievably horrific story that I don't think has gotten enough play, to be totally honest. It surely hasn't gotten any real
Here we go, colonizers. Oh my gosh. Hey, Sam Adams, get off the plantation, man. This is 2026. Who cares about that shit in the past, about them damn colonizers? What they supposed to mean? No, having gay marriages, that's what killed everything. So y'all had y'all gay marriages, and then y'all want to have the kids. Now you want the kids to be gay. No, y'all killed that.
Mainstream play at all. You're talking about an 18-year-old university student who was stabbed multiple times by this person. And the reason why I'm mentioning that he was Sikh and a brown person is because it plays in the entire narrative and the whole issue and problems with this. You know, I know that in the U.S. and other parts of the world that there's some kind of an attack, right? And the attack is a black person who killed a white person. Well, they go to great lengths not to talk about the race of the person, but if it's a white person killing a black person, the first thing they say was a white person, white on black violence. So this is why I'm bringing up race otherwise. The fact that the police went there and arrested this university student, handcuffed him, right? That's important for later the story. Handcuffed him as he was bleeding to death from multiple stab wounds. And he said to the police, I'm begging you, I can't breathe. By the way, this mirrors George Floyd quite a bit, right? I can't breathe. I've been stabbed. And they wouldn't even believe him. They didn't believe him.
Yeah, they said, I don't think you have, Meg.
And Digwa, this person, was put in jail. But by the way, they did not arrest him for a racially motivated crime, which this was, because he kept claiming to the police that a white person attacked me. So that makes it motivated by race. Mm-hmm. And because it was not the aggravating issue of race, he is going to get out in 20 years, okay? And that if this was a racially motivated attack, which it was, he could have very well possibly not gotten out for life, which he shouldn't have. So yeah, and by the way, he was never even handcuffed after he was arrested. And he was taken The man who was stabbed, the 18-year-old kid who was stabbed, was handcuffed, but the person who was stabbing was not handcuffed. And they took him to the police station. They treated him so well. They took him to not even to they didn't hand him like a sandwich they normally do. They took him to the police kitchen and said, you pick out the food you want. This whole thing is so horrific. And just the story itself and all the follow-up that, it's not getting enough play.
No, I think you're absolutely right. It is so horrific. I mean, listening to Henry's father speak to crowds about how Henry was treated compared to how Henry's murderer was treated, not even handcuffed at all. You mentioned the race element. There are plenty of questions around the DEI training that police have had. This document outlining an anti-racism commitment
Right, wrong way. Good one on that, wrong way.
Council has come under a lot of scrutiny following Novak's murder. Probably not
It's all
enough
about
scrutiny,
God.
but this document says that racial equality does not mean treating everyone the same or being colourblind. So the MPP said that it would be reviewing the language in the document, but it's certainly being argued by some that there was this direct link between what the police guidance that was being received and of course, what happened to Henry Novak.
I don't want to overstate this. I don't want to see hyperbolic, but that document, you could argue, leads directly to the death of Henry Novak, okay? Because the entire document is talking about that race comes first, and that's the lens that you have to police through. That's what the document is telling police to do, and that's what they did. So they see a brown person and a white person. They don't believe the white person. They believe the brown person because that's the way they are trained. It literally says you don't treat people equally. You treat the brown and black person better and as a more trustworthy
Nailed it wrong way.
A white person. That's what led to his death, right? That race is supreme. And this is really reflective of British society, right? And if you look at, if you remember the Rotherham grooming scandal, where 1,200 white girls were sexually assaulted, raped, and trafficked, that happened because of this. Because you're saying you cannot go after somebody who's a brown person or a black person because you're going to be treating them differently, and they have a history of oppression. This is what leads. I understand they don't understand. This is what leads to that kind of thing. Look, it's kept talking about being anti-racist. So we understand what anti-racist means. It doesn't mean not being racist, which, Gabriella, you are and I am, which is what I think the model should be. It's very specific, and it's really an American, radically black concept, saying that everything you see is through the lens of race. Everything is through the lens of race. And that our countries are imbued with white supremacy. That's the basis of anti-racist, and that's what they're teaching these police officers. It's like being anti-fascist. That's what Antifa is, is that you have to be aggressive in fighting fascism, which leads to violence. In this case, leads to the death of this 8-year-old student. The whole thing is just so awful. And I think these people and I see these people, I mean the police, have a lot to look at in the mirror. And by the way, so we're clear, the police themselves who did this, not only were they not arrested, right? They weren't even disciplined as far as I know.
Isn't it extraordinary? I mean, you make such a good point. J.D. Vance has also weighed in on this. He wrote on X that Henry Novak died in the same way a civilization dies, abandoned and handcuffed by authorities who neither trusted nor cared for him. Yet apparently this is wrong. According to the UK government, Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy said that he picked up the phone to call J.D. Vance to tell him that he was wrong about the comments he made about the murder of Henry Novak and that this killing has got nothing to do with mass migration. Well, I think a lot of people appreciate J.D. Vance putting some attention on this issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting and ironic that this government in particular in Downing Street in England right now would complain about this. In fact, he used the word attacking our democracy.
Yeah, wrong way. Blessings on your move, man. Blessings on your move. In Jesus' name, blessings. Amen.
Right? Equating almost what the Russian interference in the U.S. elections to what J.D. Vance made a super obvious and true comment. But yeah, it's so self-serving. And by the way, this is the same Keir Starmer, by the way, who attacked Trump and the American judicial system after what happened with George Floyd. And by the way, I didn't see them complain at all when Barack Obama made a comment about supporting the anti-Brexit folks. I heard them cheering Barack Obama's involvement, right, in English politics. So I find the thing so disgusting and so gross. And the reaction of that is just, you know what? Just, guys, take the L. That's what you want to make things go away. Say, we made a mistake. We're going to learn from this. We're going to move on. But they can't. They keep bringing this up and making it a bigger issue, which is feeding the flames of this issue and this problem. We wouldn't be talking about this if they didn't say these kind of things.
Yeah, exactly right. Look, Rosie O'Donnell is back in America, and she's crashing out over...
All right, Jeffrey, no problem, man. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm glad you came in the chat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Who else but Donald Trump? Of course, here she is on the red carpet.
But you've never been afraid to use your voice and speak out, which I really commend about you.
If you grew up in New York, you knew he was an asshole and a liar from day one. And I am 64 years old and my whole life here. So I remember when his planes were repossessed off the runways at LaGuardia. I remember when he was...
And he's still a billionaire, and he's the president twice. And you still got TDS. Really, Rosie, go back to Ireland.
Broke. I remember when he would call up places and pretend to be his own publicist. He is a con man, he is a narcissist, and he is a psychopath, if you ask me.
How do you think he'll be greeted at MSG tomorrow night?
With a lot of booze, and I'm happy to hear it.
I mean, this is
Go talk to your therapist,
led
Rosie.
America to Ireland over fears of, over her safety because of Donald Trump. I guess New York, it's fine and all safe for her to go in summer.
Yeah, go back to Ireland. Okay, we don't need you here. We don't want you here. As far as the president getting booed at MSG for the Knicks game, I wouldn't know because I can't watch the game. I had to prep for this show. I had to do your show, so I didn't even know what's going on. Thank you very much, Sky News, for taking that away from me.
Army, this is much better than a Knicks game. What are you
I'm pretty sure she's going to go back.
talking about?
Of course.
Where else would you rather be?
No, she's going to stay in America. She's going to stay. I'm pretty sure. She ain't going to go back to Ireland. Everybody who leaves America always come back.
Look, last one. Sonny Hostin is also complaining about America's birthday coming up. Let's take a listen.
You want me to celebrate 1776 and my ancestors were not free.
Right.
We're not in.
Your ancestors had slaves, owned slaves, you goofy. Remember that? Come on, internet. Come on, y'all. She did a 23 thing, whatever, DNA test. Her ancestors owned slaves, Spaniards.
We're not independent. Didn't get independence. I mean, think about that. Think about what a big ask that is.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty significant.
Can you look at the 250 and say there are things to celebrate about the fact that America's got a birthday, that it's here, and there are parts of our history, but it's complicated.
And we've got to be honest.
Get your ass up out of here, then.
My concern is there are many people.
All this money she made in America, and she complained about America. Get her ass up out of here. You and your husband. Hope your husband go to jail.
People that refuse to be honest about it, that still say this is the greatest nation in the world. Other nations don't agree with that. And we've got to be honest.
So fucking what?
About how young we are and how much we have to learn and how much we have to grow and where we are right now. And I'm willing to be honest about it. And I don't care that I take that much heat.
It's complicated, Army?
No, it's really not complicated. I mean, what a race baiter. Yes, spitting in the face of the country where Black people are the most successful people on planet Earth, but not just Black people. So are Latino people. Not just Latino people. So are Jews. And so are all white people. Yeah, we all celebrate the success.
What up, High Right? I've been live streaming about an hour and 52 minutes. So once again, they're showing the Democrats, they full of shit. And they bogus as hell and fraud. And voting for people with Nazi tattoos, but he called us MAGA Nazis, but yet this man got a tattoo on his chest. Wife don't like him. A lot of shit.
This country has bestowed upon us. You know, Sonny, ask an African immigrant who's come to the U.S. whether or not he's going to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the country. I promise you he will, because he came here for success, and he came here and he got it. And by the way, I'm not going to exactly take advice from Sonny Hostin, one of the stupidest people on planet Earth, who said that and the clips we had a few years ago was because of climate change, or said that her kids don't.
Right, Red Hood. She was saying her ancestors owned slaves.
Don't have the same civil rights that she does, or called Israel a terror state. So excuse me very much. And I wonder, Sonny, what are you going to celebrate? There's a thing called Africa Day. Are you going to celebrate Africa Day, the continent that sold your people into slavery to the United States and to the Europeans? I don't know. Where does it end? Where does it end? Sonny, I really would like to know.
It's just interesting. We're on the countdown now until America celebrates its 250th birthday, and you're already seeing so many left-wing media hosts and politicians already not wanting to celebrate it. Clearly, I'm getting the sense that they might actually hate the place. Army Horowitz, thank you so much for joining us. Great to speak with you.
Always a pleasure. And those people can go to Ireland.
Yeah.
There's a growing concern for American seniors that isn't getting enough headlines. Several officials at Greg Barton. Professor Greg Barton, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. So the latest today, the fighting has halted between Iran and Israel. How long will that last for, do you think?
Yeah, Gabrielle, I think we still have reasons to be optimistic about going into an extended ceasefire and then some sort of lasting peace. I know that sounds pie in the sky, but this ceasefire has been pushed to the limits and has not broken. President Trump has stood up to Prime Minister Netanyahu and said, we've got to do something about stopping the fighting in Lebanon. That's a breaking point. I'm not going to back you up. If you do something against Iran, we're not going to come to your rescue. Those are pretty strong words. And I think that
CRX, what's up, CRX?
Campaigned on ending forever wars, and he's been perilously close to being dragged into a forever war. He doesn't want that. He's got midterms coming up in November. The price of oil, the sort of gas prices, as Americans call it, at the pumps, when they fill up with petrol, that hasn't spiked as high as it could. It's up, but it could spike much higher through the course of this month if the Strait of Hormuz does not open. President Trump knows all of that, and I think he's committed to finding a way out. I think the Iranians want to find a way out. Prime Minister Netanyahu, perhaps not, but that's the one exception.
It's interesting. There's a lot of focus on the pressure that Donald Trump is under, but there's not a lot of focus around how much pressure Iran is under and how much the Iranian regime is under. What's your assessment about how much pressure Iran is under?
That's a good point. I think two things are true, Gabriella. One is that Iran has been devastated by this war. The economy is really on its knees. The 92 million...
Yeah, make sure you guys check your notification for all, or how you want to select it when I go live, because I do it all. I go live, I do YouTube Shorts, I do YouTube video long. Try to get the information out there to you guys any way I can.
Citizens of Iran are really suffering more than they have for decades of sanctions. I mean, it's a really tough situation. Iran doesn't have a conventional air force or navy to speak of. It's got small, fast boats and some jet fighters, but they're of no consequence.
It's so much I want to show to you guys, but I try not to overwhelm you guys with so much YouTube information. Okay, well, thank you. All right, appreciate it. Try my best for you guys. Try not to be annoying,
On the air side. But it does have the capacity to project force through ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones, cheap drones. And it looks like it has most of its capacity intact that it had in January, perhaps 3/4 of that capacity. And that's pretty consequential. And of course, they've now pulled the lever on closing the Strait of Hormuz.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Never used really in the past, and they've found that it works. It's perhaps a more effective deterrence than the nuclear weapons in one sense, at least in the short term. So the dilemma is Iran is badly damaged, desperately doesn't want to get caught up in further fighting, but it's still a problem. And the regime has not gone away. If anything, it's in its current form is perhaps even more hardline. No one wanted this outcome, but that's the reality we've got to deal with.
There are reports that Donald Trump regrets this and regrets taking action.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I think we don't know really what President Trump thinks. He does get candid in his phone calls with journalists who phone him up, and he speaks directly to them. So we've had some very candid moments. But of course, that varies a lot from day to day. We do know that he talks up the stock market ahead of the stock exchange opening. So there's you've got to pass all of that. But I think if you run
all right, I try to show you guys all types of news besides just Fox or CNN. I try to give you guys all types. If I can show China news, I'll show you China because it's all out there. Some news channels give you more information than the other, and that's crazy. You got to go outside of American news to get better news about America. And the same thing about American news, you get better overseas. It is what it is.
Thought experiment. I mean, I think he did campaign on ending forever wars. I don't think he wants to be caught in a forever war. So he ran the thought experiment back to January. If he knew then what he knows now, would he have done what he ended up doing? I think no. I think this is not the result that he wanted. He wanted regime change. That's not going to happen. He's seen the limits of American force. It makes him look weak, and it makes America look weak. If he could run this again, he would do it differently.
Is there hope for regime change down the track?
Yeah, there is down the track, but it will come from the regime change in Iran may come because of the damage that's been done last year and this year, but that can take years before you actually see it happen. I mean, we saw that happen with the Ashara regime in Damascus, in Syria. Bashar Assad.
Oh, I played Bill O'Reilly too.
Was replaced by Ashara.
Let's see what we got going on.
By surprised when it happened. It's like that old line about going bankrupt. How does it happen? Slowly at first, then all at once. And the same thing with regime collapse. So that could very well happen with Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps regime. But it doesn't seem like it's about to happen. They're locked in. They run a mafia state. They control the economy. They're even more of a police state than they were 12 months ago. So in one sense, they're in a stronger position. But there must be a lot of disaffection. There must be a lot of pressure internally. Perhaps one day the conventional army will be led by somebody who's charismatic enough to pull together an opposition and topple the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, which is the state within the state. But I think if we sort of wait for that and put our trust in that, then that's a foolish approach. But it doesn't mean that there's not going to be a change of regime one day. The Iranian people we know desperately want a change of regime, but unfortunately they've paid a high price and not got what everyone wants.
So how do the US and Iran actually settle this? I mean, you have some optimism that this ceasefire can last, but how do they actually get to a long-lasting peace agreement?
I think the first step is some unfreezing of Iranian assets. So, I mean, in one sense, this is...
I think that's fair to say. I don't know if anybody could successfully debate that statement. But Donald Trump continues to go into places like Meet the Press on NBC.
To damage him. I think that's fair to say. They're different, but they're free. Com lays out that ever since Donald Trump decided to get into politics, 2016, the press has been on a mission to damage him. I think that's fair to say. I don't know if anybody could successfully debate that statement. But Donald Trump continues to go into places like Meet the Press on NBC that he knows are unfriendly. I asked him about it off camera one time, and he said, look, I want my case out there. That's what I want. If I can convince people, fine, but that's not the most important thing. I want to be heard. Okay. But the downside, the risk is that you're going to get slammed, and many times unfairly. So the president goes into Meet the Press on Sunday and then walks out of Meet the Press in the middle of the interview. No surprise. The moderator is a woman named Kristen Welker. Kristen comes from a exceedingly democratic family, given much money to that party, and she is a liberal woman. And what I mean by that is, if there is a story that reflects poorly on conservatives or Republicans or the president, Kristen is going to do the story. If there is a story that reflects poorly on Democrats, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, whoever it may be, there's a good chance Kristen will ignore the story. It's as simple as that. Okay. So right away, Kristen Welker gets into a Trump campaign promise. No new wars. Go.
One of your consistent campaign promises was no new wars, going all the way back to 2015. Did you break that promise to the American people?
I had to stop a country, very powerful, very dangerous country, from having a nuclear weapon because they'd use it. They blow up the world. They blow up the Middle East. They blow up Israel.
They'll blow themselves up. We know that for a fact. They'll blow themselves up. So just imagine them having a rocket. Come on, man.
Come here. They blow up Europe. They're nuts. Okay, they're crazy people. I deal with them, and very high-strung people.
Okay. My answer would have been, had I been president and sitting across from Ms. Welker, things change. And our intel information was that Iran was violating the Obama deal, who was very, very close to accomplishing a nuclear weapon. So when I said no new wars, I meant it. But when new circumstances that are threatening come.
I like how you said it, new circumstances, new stuff. So the old shit you were talking about is over with because new things is going on.
To the fore, F-O-R-E, I got to deal with it as president. That would have been the answer that I would have given. It would have been enough for Ms. Welker. I understand that. But most people, I think, understand the danger to Iran. They don't like the policy, but they understand the danger. Okay. Now, you can ask that question about no new wars in two ways. Confrontational, as Ms. Welker did. You said, or informational, as I do. There's a new war, Mr. President. What has changed now? Now, he'd give the same answer, but then you could follow up with, was there one intel report that swayed you to get involved with this conflict? Just give me one. That's informational. Not, you did it, you said it, how come you said it? That's confrontational. That is all the time across the board, all the time. Okay. Now, the second one was just foolish on the part of Kristen Welker. Foolish. Donald Trump believes that the election of 2020 was rigged. Nothing is going to change his mind. Nothing. This has been going on for 6 years. Everyone in the country understands the president believes there was fraud.
Look at California right now. Look at California right now. 40,000 votes. That's how many homeless people in California.
Everyone who pays attention. Why are you going back to this? Roll the tape.
You play right into their hands with this rep. You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But Mr. President,
you know why I got that? Because you have no credibility. We're like a third world country.
All right. Thank you for your service, man, and your family. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys, man.
Elections are crooked.
Blessings.
And you're crooked. And Meet the Press is crooked. And so is ABC and CBS and CNN. You're one-sided crooked networks. Right. Let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Okay. So would I have walked out? No. However, what's the point? You haven't had any evidence. It doesn't matter. That's what the man believes. And you can take it or leave it as the American voter. That's what he believes. Why are you going back on and on and on and on? You could ask, and it'd be a foolish waste of time, is there the same thing you asked about Iran? Is there one fact that swayed you over to a fraudulent election posture? That's information. Now, chances are you're not going to get answers to those. I understand. But your presentation as a journalist matters. And now with the California debacle, and we'll get into that, Trump's got even more. You can't count the votes after 6 days. A surge from some left-wing crank in Los Angeles. I mean, I don't have any hard facts to say the California election, gubernatorial and mayoral in LA, were fraudulent. I don't have any facts. It looks bad. And it's looked bad for decades. And they won't fix it. Why won't they fix it? You never get that from Kristen Welker. Ever. Okay. So when we're in a situation where the president is under siege by the media, and he is, all right, he's going to hit back. That's the kind of guy he is. But there are legitimate questions that have to be asked. So, according to a Washington Post poll, 61% of the American people do not support the action in Iran. Now, a simple question that Welker could have asked, and would have been much more responsible, is why do you think that is, Mr. President? Again, information. Why? 61% is a big number. Why? That's not rude. That is legitimate for a journalist to do. Okay, so you get a situation where Trump has defeated the media. I mean, 60 Minutes, and George Stephanopoulos, and the guy at ABC, Terry Moran, and they're just Colbert, one after the other, after the other, after the other. They're dropping. Media hates that. He's winning that. Iran, you've seen it on financial. Don't know. Seen it in the news. Could turn it around. Believes he will turn it around. The president does. But it's dicey. And that's the memo. Some of you know I do not recommend companies lightly. Let me set you up here. You got a very fine website. We want people to go to bernardgoldberg.com. You were in the exact same position as Pelly, the 60 Minutes guy who got fired. So you wrote a book called Bias, all right? And the book said, and you're working at CBS News, they're not square. CBS News is not a square operation. They're not fair. Okay, you didn't get fired. You got iced. Rather than the boys put you on ice. So you know the Pelly story better than anyone. If you had to go back, would you have quit like Pelly quit?
First, let me say the reason I didn't get fired is because Michael Jordan saved me. Not that Michael Jordan. The Michael Jordan that was the president and CEO of Westinghouse, the company that owned CBS at the time. And he did an interview with a magazine and essentially said, Bernie's got onto something. Bernie's got a point. The people who watch television news don't trust it. And Bernie had some validity in his argument. Once the CEO says that, you know what, I'm probably not going to get fired. And I didn't. The reason I didn't quit, Bill, is because, and Bob Sheeper said, if you don't like it here, why don't you leave? And my answer is, no, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm talking about liberal bias at CBS. You did something wrong. If somebody's going to quit, You quit. I'm not quitting. And I stayed around for 5 more years and then wrote Bias. Let me read you one very, very short thing before page 1 in Bias. It's a quote from Stephen Brill, who was a journalist and a lawyer. He said, when it comes to arrogance, power, and lack of accountability, journalists are probably the only people on the planet who make lawyers look good. He's right. There's a journalist, if arrogance were a crime, the Supermax prison in Colorado would be filled with journalists.
Okay. And let me just clarify something. You wrote the assessment of CBS's editorial posture in the Wall Street Journal.
Yes.
And then rather in the boys iced you. I was there at the time, so I know that. You lost all credibility with them. And then you wrote the book Bias after the Wall Street Journal. Now, Pelley. So Pelley makes a big martyrdom play here, that he's the victim, and that the people who are giving him a hard time are under the sway of Trump. What did you think about that position?
I'm going to tell you that there are 2 theories about that, Bill. And I'm asking you and the people watching us now, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you what the 2 theories are. One of them agrees with Scott Pelley. One of them says that Barry Weiss, who was brought in to run CBS News, was brought in to make sure that what goes on the air at CBS News meets Donald Trump's approval. In other words, make CBS News something like the Donald Trump TV network. Why? Because the people who bought CBS also want to buy the company that owns CNN, and they're going to need Donald Trump's blessings. So you bring Barry Weiss in, she makes CBS News friendly to Donald Trump, and the deal could go through to buy CNN. To back that theory up, one former executive who you know, Bill, and I know, and who you respect, and I respect, told me that, he said, I don't believe in conspiracies, but there's one that I might believe in, and this is it. He said, Donald Trump doesn't like 60 Minutes. He doesn't like Scott Pelley.
Subscribe.
Like Stephen Colbert. Colbert is gone. Scott Pelley is gone. And 60 Minutes is a brand new boss. So, Bill, you don't have to be paranoid to think maybe there's something to the theory that Barry Weiss was brought in to make Donald Trump happy.
Let me wait. Before you get to the other thing, let me challenge that.
But the other theory deals with challenging that. I'll do it in 10 seconds. Right. The other theory is very simple. Barry Weiss was brought in because the people who own CBS say there's a liberal bias there and we need to get rid of it and bring the CBS News to the middle. But CBS News journalists don't think they have a liberal bias, so they despise Barry Weiss.
Okay. And that's true. But you can back up the Pelley hatred of Trump, and not just Pelley, but others. In 6 years that the president has held office, we can find only one positive reference, one, made by 60 Minutes. And that was a short sound clip of somebody saying, hey, the tariffs might work. In 6 years, that's all 60 Minutes could come up with in a positive way toward the Republican president. That's insane. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. A former executive of CBS News told me flat out, this is a quote, Scott Pelley hates Donald Trump, but he doesn't hate him for political reasons. He doesn't hate him because he's a Republican. He hates him for the same reason that half the country don't like Donald Trump. I'm going to read you one thing Scott Pelley said at a commencement speech at Wake Forest University last year. He said, At this moment, our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And a quiet, insidious fear is creeping through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts. We fear to speak in America. Now, he never mentioned Donald Trump by name, but you have to be in a coma not to understand that Scott Pelley was taking a shot at Donald Trump. You don't do that if you're a CBS News correspondent, and specifically a 60 Minutes correspondent. That he said it while he was doing that, while he was at CBS on the air. You just don't do that. And I can tell you this, a former 60 Minutes executive producer agrees that you don't do that. He shouldn't have been allowed to do that.
Okay. Wasn't it interesting that all the objection to Scott Pelley's conundrum came from the left? You didn't hear anybody on the right. And there are some libertarians on the right who want freedom of speech. They don't want anybody, any government agency controlling the media. Not one stuck up for Pelley. So I think these guys at 60 Minutes live in a land of their own.
They do.
Yeah, they control this world like they're noble. They're doing it people's business. But in reality, they're not. They're not telling the truth. They're not giving you the whole picture.
Listen, they live in a world of their own is absolutely true. They are a part of CBS News, and they are apart from CBS News. They're in a different building from CBS News. They are a tight-knit family that fights with each other, but they don't like outsiders telling them what to do. Jeff Fager, former executive producer of 60 Minutes, told me on the record, 60 Minutes is a feisty place, his word, feisty, and that they fight with each other all the time. Arguments are not uncommon there. And the new guy coming in, Nick Bilton, should have been aware of the culture that he was speaking to, and perhaps should have been more sensitive and less sensitive to what Scott Pelley said. I told Jeff Fager I thought Scott Pelley should have been fired because he crossed the bright line. Another person who used to work at 60 Minutes told me at 60 Minutes, FU is the way they say good morning every day. It's a tough place. It's an insidious, it's an enclave, it's a state within a state, and they don't like outsiders telling them what to do. And here comes Barry Weiss, here comes Nick Bilton. They don't like it. And they have all, as you correctly said, they have all their liberal friends in the media sticking up for them. Now, all that said, Bill, again, and don't shoot the messenger, all that said, they may be onto something with Barry Weiss coming in to make Donald Trump happy. The jury is still out on that. That may be the case. And if it is, that's wrong. We don't want that. Even Trump supporters shouldn't want that.
You also have the situation where Steve Croft told me on our long form that he hated working at CBS at 60 Minutes. And it was horrible, debilitating for him. So again, it seems that the powers that be in that place, not just ideological, but they eat their own. I mean, according to Croft, this was the most miserable time of his life.
Mike Wallace and Morley Saper are two of the great journalists of our time. Mike, I'm told, would steal Morley's stories. Steal his stories, but Morley would be getting ready to do a story and Mike would steal it out from under him. It's in corporate America today, and I know a little about this because I know people in big-time corporate America. This kind of thing, they'd be going to HR.
On me. I thought it was very good, yeah.
Can you
It was certainly amazing. It was. I think mostly cheers. It was loud and it was very enthusiastic.
I blame Trump. I blame Trump for the simple fact that we won 13 consecutive games, and as soon as Trump show up, all shit goes to.
There's 7 games, you idiot. And I'm pretty sure if you had betted, which I had betted, I should have betted, that Trump showed up, the Knicks were going to lose. Man, there's some good money in the bet. But Trump got nothing to do with the Knicks losing. A game already rigged anyway. It's called money. 7 games.
So I don't think it was Trump's fault, but the aura, like the fact that they had to show him on the jumbotron, everybody was booing him.
That should have made them even more happy if the president watching me play. I'd be happy as hell. Or not only just that, I'm a millionaire getting paid to play. So who cares who's watching me? You getting paid $1 million to play a goddamn game. Bounce a ball.
Like, we shouldn't even have to do that. We should be cheering. We should be doing all that.
Yeah, like it was a blowout. 115 to 111. So stop fouling. Somebody made some mistakes on the New York side.
As a basketball fan, really disappointed. I'm gonna be honest, not my favorite game. Not a great performance by the Knicks. Could have played better. Definitely could have played better. But we bounce back. We go. Just wait till Wednesday. All I have to say.
Wait. So we got to talk about the liberal outrage this morning over President Trump attending the Knicks finals game, Game 3, and lo and behold, the Knicks lost. Now, we talked about this yesterday, going into the game.
That was happening anyway.
Like Stephen A. Smith, they were telling the president, stay away from the game, you're going to jinx us. And, the Knicks lost. And I want to talk about this because this probably is one of the most annoying stories I've covered in a long time. And it really, 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 really makes me dislike New York liberals. It makes me dislike Knicks fans, right? And at this point, I'm kind of hoping that the Knicks lose, okay? And I'm not an NBA fan. I'm neutral. I haven't watched the NBA since Kobe died, right? When Kobe died, I was done with basketball, okay? I don't even like playing basketball. I'm not a basketball guy, right? And again, the way that these people are boo-hoo, whining, crying, and bitching about Trump being at the game, again, I just hope they lose. I hope that they lose in the worst way possible, okay? Because last night, these individuals thought it was a good idea to boo the president doing the national anthem. And of course, the liberal media is taking a victory lap over this when it comes to the president being booed. And then on top of that, they're blaming the president for why the Knicks lost, as if the president had anything to do with how the Knicks played.
Do you want to see the warm welcome the President of the United States got tonight when he decided to pretend to be a basketball fan?
She used to be a blonde head. What happened? She was a nice looking lady. Now she's like a dude. She was a blonde
because
head.
He wanted to go to the NBA Finals in New York tonight. Do you want to see how much New Yorkers appreciated Donald Trump making them all come to the game hours early, forcing everyone to go through tons of extra screening, forcing New York City to cancel the public free viewing parties they had planned outside Madison Square Garden, just specifically so Trump could be there in person, even though he's only ever talked trash about the NBA and doesn't appear to have been an actual fan at all, at least for decades. Do you want to see the big, warm New York welcome that actual Knicks fans gave him when he arrived at the venue tonight?
It's a pretty loud boo during the national anthem. Not exactly surprising in New York City, as we talked about blue cities a moment ago. Nobody.
That's some bullshit. I just showed you guys something different. See how the media is?
Wanted him here. And the reason why is not what people don't think, oh, it's a blue city and people don't like Trump. That's very true.
And there's only a few people anyway.
It's so fun. Listen, the scariest thing I've ever seen is New Yorkers smiling. It's like, what the hell is happening in this city? People are walking around, they're smiling, they're happy. And, all around Madison Square Garden has been this ongoing kind of party atmosphere. And here comes President Buzzkill. Everybody's got to leave. They put up the fences and everything. And it sucks. And people are planning to be out, because you can't pay the $10,000 to go inside. But you can be on the outside and have a ball. No, because President Buzzkill is more interested.
What about people who say Obama went to the game in Toronto?
Nobody's ever gone to a finals game. No sitting president's ever gone to a finals game, number one. And number two, people like Obama. So it's different.
I just, from a political standpoint, I would have advised him against this, because the Knicks are on this incredible winning streak. Like, the city is energized. You feel it. Like, I'm not a New Yorker, but I'm excited. If he loses tonight,
you're not a Republican
everyone is going to blame him. They're going to say that he jinxed it, he cursed it, his presence was a distraction.
Actually, no, it's also crazy.
We're off.
But because the White House press rules.
These people are stupid. There's 7 games. There's only 3 they played. Wow. And it's going to just...
Then we're just getting a live feed of the president and who he's talking to in the box. He was sitting next to James Dolan, the owner, earlier. That's Adam Silver.
I've been thinking about why the Knicks lost last night. And yes, Trump is to blame. He came all the way.
What about Taylor Swift BS? When Taylor Swift was at the football games, y'all was cool with Taylor Swift being at the games? Kept showing Taylor Swift like we came to see football, not a Taylor Swift concert. It's a football game. What was the outrage for that? Oh, okay.
Away from DC, got booed by the crowd, fell asleep, and jinxed the Knicks to end their 13-game win streak. But this is bigger than basketball. This is about character. When Trump announced he was coming, the energy of the city changed. They canceled the watch party at the Garden. Fans had to show up 2 hours early. Local businesses got shut down. And the focus turned away from the Knicks to Trump.
So the Knicks just lost Game 3 of the NBA Finals, and I can
Harry Sissy, really? I know it's Session, but I'm calling Sissy.
Confidently say that Donald Trump is responsible partially for this loss. He completely ruined the vibe. New York City was excited, it was happy, and then he decided, I'm going to show up to Game 3 and ruin everything. The watch party outside of Madison Square Garden got shut down. It took hours for people to get into the building because the lines were like hours long. And then at the game, he got booed and then fell asleep in the middle of it. In the middle of an NBA final game, Donald Trump was passed out in the suite that he was in. The vibes were off, and it's because Donald Trump decided to go to the game. MAGA can rage all they want, but they know it's true. Yeah. So, see that you heard that. President Trump also responded to Stephen A. Smith, who went viral for blaming the president before the game, right? He basically said that if the Knicks lose, he's blaming Trump. President Trump responded to this after the game, right? Stephen A. blaming him. And let's just say President Trump gave Stephen A. brutal reality check. The same individual who, is flirting with this idea that he may run for president.
ESPN commentator Stephen A. Smith was talking about running for president. He said he would blame you if the Knicks lost the game. How do you respond to that?
I think he's a nice guy. But you need a certain aptitude to run for president. You need a high IQ. I'm not sure that Stephen has that. I don't think he does, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear any lies there, right? I mean, I don't think that Stephen A. is the smartest guy. I think that he has a gift of gab, right? I think that he's certainly talented when it comes to running his mouth. But I don't think that he's the most intelligent guy in the world. I don't think he's stupid. But again, this idea that the Knicks lost because Trump was there. Oh, well, Trump ruined our vibes. And I'm like, are you people really that soft? Right? Seriously.
They're not even playing the game. You watching the game. How you ruin the vibe? Did the players say they had a bad aura because Trump was there? Somebody let me know if the players were playing, because they shouldn't get paid at all either. You get paid $1 million a play to win. Doesn't matter who's watching you.
Seriously, just listen to what these people are saying. Well, Trump ruined our vibes. We're having a great time until the president showed up in Madison Square Garden. And I'm like, wait. So you let the president of the United States, you're so Trump deranged that you let the president of the United States ruin your mood, right? You're celebrating the finals. You're watching the game. You can't enjoy the game because the president is there. That's how much you hate the man. That's how much you don't.
No Pride Month trash here, man. So you can go ahead and buy with that shit. Fuck Pride Month. Should be Veterans Month.
Like them. That's a you problem, right? And again, this is why I'm rooting against the Knicks. I'm now rooting against the Knicks. I'm an anti-Knicks fan, right? I'm not a fan of the NBA. I'm just anti-Knicks at this point. I hope they lose in the worst way possible. I'm not even talking about a blowout. I'm talking about a heartbreaking loss. I'm talking about like a last-second game-winning shot from the Spurs at Madison Square Garden for the Knicks to lose. I hope they lose in the most devastating, the most heartbreaking way possible. Okay? And again, part of the reason why is what happened after the game. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But first, we got to continue when it comes to our coverage of the back and forth between Stephen A. and President Trump, because as you guys just saw, President Trump responded to Stephen A. Now Stephen A. this morning is responding to the president.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing? Our president showed up in New York City last night. And needless to say, what I feared would happen ended up happening. The New York Knicks lost. And obviously, I'm blaming him.
Game 3. Not a championship game. Not game 6. Game 3. And the Knicks is already up 2. Now it's 2-1.
Why am I blaming him, ladies and gentlemen? It's very, very simple. Because the president disrupted our mojo. I've said this on many occasions over the last 24 hours, and I'm saying it again. The man messed things up. Now, why did I bring this up? Why was it important for me to discuss this?
Because you're stupid.
There's several reasons. Number one, New York Knicks haven't won a title since 1973.
Who fault is
At
that?
that time, our president was 26 years of age. He was not a toddler. He was not a child. He was there. He was there in 70 when Willis Reed walked through the tunnel. He was there in 1973 when Walt Clyde Frazier dropped 30 plus in a game 7. He knows over the last 53 years, we haven't had a moment to celebrate since that period in time. And he knows how miserable New York fans have been. Why? Because he's a Queens native. He's from this area. He knows exactly what New Yorkers have been through, and he didn't care.
Well, he's a Knicks fan, right? I'm trying to figure out why, as a Knicks fan, he's not allowed to go, right? Like, that's what really kills me. Is like, he's been a Knicks fan, a documented Knicks fan for decades, and people are saying that he doesn't have the right to go. This is crazy to me. It's absolutely insane. And then, also what annoys me too is that when people talk about how Obama showed up to these types of events, right? Well, people like Obama. So your ability to come to the game is dependent on whether or not people like you. Really? Is that the argument that these people are making? And I don't like Obama, right? I don't know where he get this idea that everybody loves Obama. I don't like Obama.
No, do not.
So, again, just very annoying. Why would I bring up the importance of him not caring? Because, ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't know, 3,578,599 people in the state of New York voted for this man. That equated to 43.3%. Was it enough to win New York from an electoral college standpoint? No, but it was enough to give the Republican Party about a 10% jump over the Democrats in terms of what it was compared to 2020. New Yorkers have looked out for this man. I thought he was supposed to be looking out for us. He wants to sit up there and talk about my low IQ. We'll get to that in a second, because that part really, really made me laugh. But wait for that. Instead, let me stick to the New York Knicks for a quick second.
You got offended by that?
Not only did we lose the game, did you see traffic? Did you see the watch party that wasn't outside of Madison Square Garden? Did you see thousands upon thousands of faithful New York Knicks fans that were forced to remove themselves from the area? They're going to sit there and tell you there was some condensed area that was blocked off. I was on 25th Street. I couldn't get through with my car. I was on 39th Street. I saw cars that couldn't get through. From 6th Avenue to 9th Avenue, you had people complaining about how hectic it was because
it was going to be hectic regardless. It's New York City. That's a finals game in New York City. It's going to be hectic.
Right. New York traffic is terrible. Period. With the game, without a game going on. What is he talking about? Come on, Stephen A. He's much you running for president. Yeah, right. If you run, yeah. What a joke, man.
Regardless of the president being there or not. These people are pretending as if there would be no traffic. Everything would have been great without Trump there, right? It's like, bro, it's hectic regardless. These people,
It's movies and commercial about how New York traffic is. Period.
Bro, you can't.
It's terrible.
You really can't. Barricade this blockage, this wall that was being built by folks for the garden because of the climate that existed. Somehow, some way, it was there to protect him. And guess what he was doing during the game, ladies and gentlemen?
So what?
Go online, look at the videos. I'm not going to accuse him of snoring because I wasn't in earshot. But the brother wasn't awake.
So he wasn't either.
These conspiracy theories are so funny to me, right? They keep claiming that the president was asleep. You know, they catch him with his eyes closed, and they say, "Oh, he's asleep.
Oh, he's yarning."
Ignore the game. I'm like, in that same shot, the owner of the Knicks sitting beside the president, he also looked like his eyes were closed too, right?
He was yarning.
But for whatever reason, they don't say anything about that, right? It's just Trump. Okay. Again, that's the narrative that they want to push here.
Yep.
He wasn't awake. If it was that important for you to be there, why did you look like you were asleep? Didn't you call our former President Joe Biden Sleepy Joe? Or what should we call you?
Now the game.
Because you weren't awake. Meanwhile, the New York Knicks were blowing Game 3. Meanwhile, the New York Knicks, a team you pretend love, a team that you had season tickets to, a team that you have supported throughout the years, you turned your back on them.
Black Guy 9, how you doing, man? Good morning, good morning.
That's what you did for your own selfish, narcissistic motives. I told you if you showed up, what could potentially happen. And it ended up happening. And now the New York Knicks have to go back to San Antonio. Why? For a Game 5.
Black Guy 9, I thought you guys unsubscribed to my channel. I haven't seen you guys in a while. I thought you guys unsubscribed.
Why? Because you got in the way for your own selfish motives. Good morning.
Yeah. And again, I hope they lose, right? I hope they lose so bad. I am rooting against the Knicks so badly right now, right? I am rooting against them. I'm not going to watch the game because, again, I'm not an NBA fan, so I don't really care, right? To be honest with you. Also, part of the reason why I hope they lose is because of what happened that, you know, nobody's talking about after the game, right? These people started rioting. Yeah.
Wow.
You can see and hear here, right? You have individuals who were too broke to afford to get into the game. And again, this is why you don't just let all these people in the game, right? This is why the ticket price is so high, because you want to keep individuals like this out of the game, right? Agents of chaos, fighting, rioting, right? This is what happened after the game. Now, again, they're more concerned about the president showing up to the game as a fan than what happened after the game, which was a large riot, right? Chaos in the street. Yeah. So again, the media, instead of talking about the chaos that happened after the game, right? They want to focus on Trump, Trump ruined the vibe. I don't know what to tell you, right? This is the first finals game that Mandami went to. Maybe Mandami ruined it. I don't know. But again, this is why I am now rooting against these people, right? I am rooting against the Knicks. I am rooting against New York City. In fact, I am rooting against all liberal cities. I don't F with these people, right, at all. And that's just how I feel about this, right? That's how I feel about it. And this whole, like, oh, let's blame Trump thing is just like, okay, you guys are reminding me just how much I just don't like you, right? So that's my takeaway from all this. I'm glad that the president gave Stephen A. that reality check. These people are insufferable. And again, I can't wait till the Knicks lose. I'm going to be celebrating, right? I'm going to be throwing a party.
All right, Jim, no problem, man. Catch you later, Jim.
If the Knicks lose solely because of this reaction, right? Solely because of this reaction. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black assertive perspective. Peace.
So watch this now, because in a few minutes' time, the closing arguments are set to begin. In the trial of Carmelo Anthony, a Texas teenager accused of stabbing and killing a competitor at a high school track meet. Anthony faces life in prison if convicted of murder. Brooke Taylor on this trial since the beginning, live outside the Collins County Courthouse in McKinney, Texas. And Brooke, hello.
Hi, Bill. Well, this trial has moved along a lot quicker than really anyone expected. The defense rested after calling 6 witnesses and ultimately decided not to call up Carmelo Anthony to the stand to testify in his own murder trial. So just as a recap right here, Carmelo Anthony is charged with murder. He pleaded not guilty after admitting to fatally stabbing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf during a high school track meet last April. The two teens didn't know each other and attended different schools. Investigators say the confrontation started after Anthony was sitting under a tent belonging to Metcalf's team. The defense has spent days arguing that Anthony acted in self-defense after Metcalf pushed him first. And now the question is whether they gave...
Appreciate it, Black Guy 9. Yeah, I was checking my subscriber account. I'm looking like, what happened? I lost like 5 subscribers all of a sudden. And I see you guys naming the subscriber account. Not trying to be weird or anything, but appreciate you guys. So make sure you guys get the information, you know? But thank you. Let's continue.
Jurors enough evidence to believe it. The defense called one of Anthony's former teammates. He described Anthony as, quote, distraught after the stabbing, said he heard him crying and say, I told him not to touch me. Now, prosecutors called 21 witnesses, including student after student, who testified that Anthony was repeatedly asked to leave and that he was the aggressor. Now, one witness testified that Metcalf told Anthony, quote, I'm not going to fight you at a track meet, dude. Another witness testified Anthony responded, F y'all, I'm not going to leave. And later, quote, touch me and find out. Now, legal experts say the judge could allow the jury to consider the lesser charge of manslaughter in addition to murder. And if the jury doesn't reach a verdict by the end of the day, the judge said they're going to be sequestered. They won't be allowed to watch TV or have their phones or social media. We are just waiting for those closing arguments now to start, Bill.
Got it. Thank you, Brooke. McKinney, Texas, Collin County, just north of Dallas. We are waiting and watching from here. Thank you.
And John Yu is a former Deputy Assistant Attorney General and UC Berkeley law professor and a friend. Thanks for being here. Here's something from one of the witnesses. This is the witness being asked, saying, I think Carmelo was in the wrong. The prosecutor asked, did Carmelo Anthony provoke the confrontation? And the witness said, yes. I know it's not unusual for defendants not to take the stand. Did that surprise you at all?
It does, because it sounds like the defense didn't put on very many witnesses at all, Dana. And the key...
Thanks, Floyd. Appreciate it. It had to be fake subscribers to subscribe and unsubscribe all of a sudden. Yeah, but it's cool. It's all good. Appreciate you guys. Let's continue right quick.
To being able to put on a case of self-defense to justify a killing that everyone, including the defendant, had admitted he did, that he conducted, is that he has to show that he could reasonably believe that it was necessary for him to use force in order to stop an imminent attack on him. And so that depends on what did he see? What did he think? What was his reasonable belief about what was to happen? Now, it's the case we saw, for example, in the O.J. Simpson trial, where the defendant didn't testify and eventually got acquitted. But I think it's very risky. I think the jury here would want to know what was in Anthony's mind, and they're going to be left really with the mountain of evidence that looks like the prosecution put on instead.
Right. And here is something from the Frisco Police Office talking about the laws in regards to knives, saying that he testified that knives under 5 inches are not illegal to carry in Texas. While they are against school policy, they are not illegal.
Right. And some goofy black people keep on saying, and liberals keep on saying that the inches didn't matter. It was legal to have. It's still a weapon on a school ground. No weapons on a school ground, period. That's stupid as hell. How is a criminal the victim? The mentality of these people has is sad.
That at all have helped the defense?
I got to tell you, Dana, I spent the last semester living in Texas, and it's not just knives that people are carrying around for self-defense. I mean, in Texas, you're allowed to walk around with guns to protect yourself. So it's not the
But you still can't bring it to a school ground.
weapon itself. It's whether he was justified in pulling it out and whether instead he could have just walked away, or whether he saw enough threatening violence that was going to turn deadly coming towards him. But having the knife itself is not a sign that he went into that tent under Texas law.
When I was in Chicago, I was head of security at Austin High School. And during the weekends, we had weekend games for the little kids, not the big kids, the high school kids. No, it was for the little kids. Either way it goes, as a parent, he was an officer. He wanted to bring his gun into the school. I'm like, sir, you can't bring your gun to the school. Number one, he had no uniform on. No uniform, no nothing. I don't care you had a badge. You had no uniform on. And it's a weekend game. So I told him, sir, you can't come in the building. I'm going to get you fired. I'm going to get you fired. I'm like, well, you can call downtown, call your people all you want. You're not going to come to this building with a gun, period. You're not even in a uniform. And it's the weekend. So what the heck? So either way it go, he stormed out, took his daughter with him. Come to find out his daughter was one of the teammates that needed to keep the game going. So that game ended up being forfeited. Ended up losing the game that day. But I'm not letting nobody at that time for to come in the building with a gun. You're not an officer. I don't care. And that's how it's supposed to be at any school grounds. No weapons. You're not a cop. You're not wearing a uniform, the right credentials. No, not coming in the building. So either way it goes, the same thing with this whole track meet, man. You can't bring no weapons, period. Then they can't have a lighter, you know?
To hurt somebody. It's a reasonable thing to have to protect yourself in Texas.
About a year and 2 months ago, Austin's brother was on the Will Kane show. It was a very heartbreaking interview. Then we played just a little bit of it for you here.
And then I whip my head around, and then all of a sudden I see him run down the bleach, just grabbing his chest. He just blood rushing out. I mean, he said, he got stabbed. First I froze for half a second. I didn't know what to do.
We had metal detectors. That's another thing too. That's how I knew he had a gun on him, because we had a metal detector. So if these schools had a metal detector, they need it. And these gun-free zone signs do not care. The criminals do not care about these they don't care about these signs about gun-free. They don't care. They criminals. They don't read no goddamn sign. And half these criminals can't even read.
And then I saw my fall go over there. I grabbed him. I see.
Dang, that's sad.
So that family seeking justice, the jury now will have this. How long do you think it will take them to decide? And will you be able to read any tea leaves if it comes back quickly, or if they take a while?
Dana, usually the trial lawyers, handbook says if it's a quick verdict, it usually means a conviction. That if it takes a while, there might be one person or two people who are holding out against a unanimous verdict. The evidence, I have to say, looks pretty overwhelming against Mr. Anthony. But look, this is the beauty of the American jury system, is that you have the jurors there, and any one person can prevent the conviction. Jury has to be unanimous. And so I don't think it's safe to predict what will happen or not happen. One other important thing your correspondent mentioned was that they could always choose not to convict him of murder, but convict of a lesser charge like manslaughter. And I wouldn't be surprised.
Look, that's why he got jumped. What his car is at? Nothing. That's why they got airbrush, photoshopped. Stop it, y'all. That man was not touched.
If the jury maybe went that route here instead.
All right, John, thank you for joining us today. We'll watch that jury as it gets underway. Thank you.
Thanks, Dana. Be sure.
Well, welcome back. Today, the House is set to vote on the long-delayed $70 billion plus ICE and Border Patrol funding package after the Senate passed that bill last week. Party leaders, however, still uncertain over whether there's enough support to send the bill to the president's desk. Meanwhile, House Republicans already looking ahead to a potential third reconciliation bill, a follow-up to last summer's One Big Beautiful Bill. The Republican Study Committee reportedly meeting with the Congressional Budget Office and the Joint Committee on Taxation to talk about fiscal details surrounding that
reconciliation bill. Joining me now to talk about all of that and more is Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. He is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Mr. Chairman, great to see you.
Good to be with you.
Thank you so much for being here. So where does everything stand? Today, with the vote on the reconciliation bill to fund ICE, will it pass?
I don't know if it passes.
Damn, I ain't know. That's right. Yeah, Starbucks goofy ass, right?
Hopefully this week. I mean, again, this just underscores how ridiculous the left and the Democrats have become. They shut down the government like 42 days last fall, 70-some days this spring. They shut down the Department of Homeland Security, and then we have.
All right, you guys. This will be the last video for the day. We'll be back tomorrow. How many minutes is left? About 8 minutes left. Let this play out. I'll be back tomorrow. Appreciate you guys. It's been 2 hours and 53 minutes and then live streaming.
Had to pass all of that except funding ICE and Customs and Border Protection. Now we're trying to do that, and we'll see if we can.
Yep. See you guys later, man. You guys are blessing.
Okay.
Thank you
would think
guys.
so, that the Republicans
Share the information. Share.
But understand what the Democrats have done. I said this yesterday in the Rules Committee. That there's been a systematic plan to, just a crazy plan that.
Thank you, Black Guy 9. Thank you.
During the Biden administration. 10 million illegal migrants. Then they create sanctuary jurisdictions, which makes it difficult to remove those illegal migrants when they commit another crime. And then third, they say, we're not going to fund the guys who do the removing. We're not going to fund ICE. I mean, such a deal. The system, let in 10 million sanctuary jurisdictions. By the way, sanctuary jurisdictions are now account for almost a third of the country lives in that kind of jurisdiction. Big cities, 18 big cities, 11 big blue states, where local law enforcement is told by the political class, don't work with federal law enforcement when it comes to enforcing federal law. That's how crazy the left has become. And they're not funding out. So we got to get this done so that they can actually enforce the law.
Yeah, well, you've also got an extension of the Section 702 for FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act.
Yeah.
That expires this week. Where does that stand? Hakeem Jeffries said there's no scenario where he would support FISA Section 702 renewal with Bill Pulte serving as acting DNI.
Yeah, once again.
How does that have anything to do with it?
Once again, the left taking another crazy position. What the president said, common sense versus crazy. We're not gonna renew a program that comes due this Friday on the 12th. We're not going to renew this program because of the nominee the president's put forward as interim and acting director of ODNI. It makes no sense to me. We'll see how this shakes out as well. I'm not sure. I mean, we'll find out.
Why is that such a major point of contention in terms of President Trump's appointment of Bill Pulte?
I mean, the Democrats have just said their position he's not qualified, but my position is the president's nominee.
They just want to stop his agenda.
That's been their whole focus in the entire first term and the entire second term. It's always whatever he's for, they're going to be against, and so much so that they're willing to shut down the government. As I said last fall, they're willing to shut down the government this spring. They're not willing to fund ICE, and here they are not willing to pass an important national security tool that needs to be passed.
So, I mean, Democrats are urging Republicans to ask President Trump to withdraw this appointment. Is that what you're hearing as well?
Oh yeah, it's a standoff.
They don't want it. It's a standoff.
We'll see.
Oh gosh.
We'll see how it shakes out.
Let me ask you about the Southern Poverty. Hours from now, you've got the head of the Southern Poverty Law Center testifying in front of your committee, the Judiciary Committee. It follows the DOJ's expanded indictment here, accusing the group of funneling millions of dollars in tax-exempt funds to Ku Klux Klan and other extreme groups. What should we understand about this, Mr. Chairman? The SPLC, by the way, is denying all of these allegations and saying that the DOJ is vindictive prosecution.
No, they're running a scam. They were paying people to foment the hate they told their donors they were fighting. In simple terms, this is. Remember when Rahm Emanuel several years back, when he worked in when he was chief of staff in the Obama administration, he said, "Never let a crisis go to waste." Southern Poverty Law Center took it a step further. They said, "We're going to create the crisis. We're going to pay people to gin up the hate, and then we're going to tell our voters that our donors, that we're actually fighting it." And they ran a scam, and it paid off for them. They made a ton of money. But my biggest takeaway from all this is, while they're doing all this, tripled their income after the crazy events that they helped put together, where they were coordinating some of the people they were paying, coordinating that event in Charlottesville, where they almost tripled their income.
That's what they do. Robert Byrd, Ku Klux Klan member, best friend with Joe Biden. eulogy Joe Biden did for Robert Byrd. I think Obama took a picture with him too. No outrage.
Real problem is they became the standard. The DOJ, the Biden DOJ was meeting with the Southern Poverty Law Center every single quarter. They brought in SPLC people to train their prosecutors to look for hate. And of course, the groups they labeled hateful were all conservative pro-family groups like the Family Research Council, like Moms for Liberty. But they never labeled Jane's Revenge, the group that did so much violence and vandalism in the aftermath of the Dobbs decision with crisis pregnancy centers and churches. They never got labeled that. So they set them up as the standard when they were a fraud. They were paying people to go. They paid one source over $1 million to go a part of the National Aryan Motorcycle Club, the National Socialist. This is how bad they were. Wow. And so we got their executive director in front of us today. And we'll have some questions for him.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Vice President J.D. Vance is also recommending a DOJ criminal investigation into Governor Waltz, the Minnesota governor, and Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison over the fraud scandal there. And over them ignoring it, you got a new House Oversight Committee report accusing both of them, the Minnesota officials, of failing to tackle fraud in the state's social services programs, despite allegedly being aware of it since 2019.
Yeah. This was
crazy, ain't it, y'all? Look at that.
They didn't address it because of the politics. In fact, there's a statement.
Ain't that crazy?
It's actually a Somali American who worked in the Attorney General's office there in Minnesota. And this individual said they wouldn't tackle the problem because they were concerned about the political implications of going after a key voting bloc. That's his words. And this is a Somali American working in the AG's office, in Mr. Ellison's office. It was all about politics, and they didn't tackle the fraud that was there. So thank goodness JD is. Thank goodness that Colin McDonald in the Justice Department is the point person on this, and they're digging into this issue and prosecuting people as well. It was just a pure scam. The Feeding Our Future program, that's the one I always point to. They've already indicted this individual, and she got sentenced to 41 years, the person who headed up this organization. But it was supposed to provide meals to kids when kids weren't in school back during COVID. The only problem was there were no meals and there were no kids. They were simply stuffing money in their pockets. They were filling out the forms. We fed this many people, getting the money, stuffing it in their pockets, just pure fraud.
Wow.
That's the kind of stuff that they're digging into, and God bless the Justice Department and the Vice President for the work they're doing here.
That is incredible. Okay, you've got also this new judiciary report accusing the NFL of stretching the law's limits, limited antitrust exemption. What are you looking for here? This is arguing that America's most popular sports league has ignored the narrow guardrails of the 1961 Sports Broadcasting Act. What do we need to know about this?
Well, when you look at antitrust law, I mean, understand what happened. In 1961, the NFL came to Congress and said, if you don't give us some relief from the antitrust law, we're not going to have a league, because you'll have the big teams in New York, Chicago, LA. They'll get a better TV deal than Green Bay, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. And so we need to come together, pool our resources, and negotiate a contract, TV contract. They said, and Congress said, okay, you can do that. But it's called the Sports Broadcasting Act. They did that for broadcasting. Today's environment is much different. It's not just broadcasting.
Right.
It's cable, it's satellite, it's streaming. And they got all that. And so what we're saying is the standard that's always been there, the key standard when you look at the law, is what's in the best interest of the consumer welfare standard. So we're simply looking at this. Do we need to tweak something? Do we need to change something? We love the NFL. God bless them. Great sport, America's sport now. We love all that. But we're hearing concerns from fans, from our constituents, to say it costs a lot. I got to go find out if the Thursday night game is on Netflix or Amazon and the Sunday game is CBS. And that's the concern. And so we did a little investigation. We put out a report yesterday, and we're having a hearing tomorrow.
Well, I mean, look, people are wondering why they have to pay up to watch their favorite sports. I mean, it's not just the NFL, by the way. I mean, the other day I had the CEO of Netflix on, and I asked him, how come my friend had to go get an Amazon account just to watch the Knicks?
Yeah. No, that's the frustration here, and frankly, it costs some money for your typical to watch football. Sunday, it's like Sunday afternoon, it's CBS and Fox. Sunday night, it's NBC. Monday night, it's cable satellites, ESPN. Thursday night, it's streaming on Amazon. Thanksgiving Day, it could be broadcast, streaming, satellite, or you name it, same one. So it's like that's the concern.
Yeah, these are America's sports. Congressman, great to see you. We'll be watching your work. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Jim Jordan. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
I'll be back tomorrow, you guys. I really appreciate you guys. On the real. This is fun. Every time I go live with you guys, I always learn something new. Hope you guys do too as well. Love each other. God's in control. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow.